yeah, did you have anything you wanted to talk about to start with, or would you like me to start with some things, or how do you want to do this?
I think that genuinely, I feel like I want to make this stream or this conversation kind of about you, about your concerns, about your any issue you want to bring up, and also I guess things that you talked about on your stream the other day. And I feel like it's just we're able to productively have a conversation, I guess. I think I guess I'll start by saying that I think that having a one-on-one conversation is almost always the right thing to do, or the right way to approach things, because it's so hard. First of all, communication is hard, just in general. So when you're able to immediately interject with at something someone said, or at least immediately respond to something someone said, or read someone's emotions in a direct conversation, or their tone of voice, or ask them a question like, oh, did you mean that like this? It's very helpful. And I think that as someone that is a difficult communicator and an emotional person, I've always found it very helpful to get in calls with people.
No, totally.
So I want to be genuinely, I want to be an open book. I want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm coming into this with the intention of clarity. I don't think we're going to leave this call being best buddies or anything like that. But I think that regardless, clarity amongst each other and some understanding, at least minimally. Because I think that the internet everything blows up so much bigger. And obviously a lot of that is my fault, I will say. And I think that that's something that I will try and take accountability for where I can. But I do think, so anyway, thank you for calling, first of all.
Dude,
and
so fine.
yeah, I think you can kind of steer the ship.
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, do you want to just go through the video again and the stuff I said yesterday? Sure. And then we can start with that. Yeah. Out the bat, your apology for the tweet calling Tom's fans the R word, that felt, to at least me, I think that felt quite genuine. I was just a little bit confused why you didn't say that when you first did your initial response on the live stream on your channel.
Yeah, I mean, I had an apology. I don't remember what. I mean, it was middle of the live stream probably, and it was a more longer drawn out, I guess, than the on my channel. I feel like whenever you have time to sit down and actually think about how you should put together your feelings, I guess, or when you in a video form, it's a lot easier to sit there and be like, okay, what do I actually want to say? How do I want to say it? Let me write down what I want to say, put it into a video and put it out there, versus in a live stream or even in like a tweet or something, it's different. I think that emotions are running high as well. And I think that also there's certain things that were misunderstandings. Like obviously one of the things in your original stream, before I did my video, that you talked about was like the difference between reclaiming a word and just using the word as a slur, or just using it to attack people. And as someone obviously like this, I mean, this may sound a little bit stupid, but I genuinely, I have no idea. Up until that point, after having gone through a lot of stuff that I had with, Nicholas Cantu and being a bit, there was the kind of punching bag of the internet at some point. I wasn't under the perception of like, hey, because these people did it, that makes it okay for me to do it. But I was under the perception of, okay, so these people can do it because of, these particular reasons, and I also fit those categories.
I see. And so oh, sorry, go on.
After seeing your stream, and also a lot of people's issues on Twitter, it wasn't that I changed my opinion. It was more that I reflected on the fact that, oh, okay, that makes total sense. I understand that. And as someone who in the past has, my opinion has never changed on like the R word. I've always thought I had a whole, people were, using it against me, saying I'm a hypocrite for statements I made in the past, that I still stick 100% by. I think that with any word, no matter what it is, if you're going to offend a large group of people with it, or even a small group of people, depending on what it is, that you should avoid, using it as, you have a responsibility to avoid using it as a content creator.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that, anyway, I think that I decided, obviously, in my video, be straight to the point, get it over with, and not no, I didn't mention anything. I was just like, no excuses, no anything, just, hey, let's just get it out of the way, because it was just, I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything you said. It's from my point of view, it's just like, I just wish you would have said that to begin with. But obviously, I understand.
I think genuinely with a lot of stuff, that's going to be, that has been a huge problem of mine for an extremely long time. Is everyone, I mean, obviously this is probably the number one critique of me as a person, is that I'm very impulsive. I am very impulsive. I'm very impulsive. I would love to, you know, work on that. I feel like a lot. I have improved a lot of my impulsiveness, I guess, from when I first started as a creator. It was like anything. Okay, yeah, you're saying this, fuck you, whatever. And I think that that's something that I have already, worked on, but that I do think that there's always room to grow. And that's why, obviously, I mentioned in my video, I said I kind of hit a boiling point. I did. Obviously, the timing seems kind of stupid, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So like, we can move on from that now. And I think also I want to talk about in your video, first of all, the clips you used of me. I think it was a interesting decision to splice together the only parts of my VOD where I was agreeing with you to put at the very start of your video before Tom had even said anything. You know what I mean? Before Tom had even said anything and before you were even rebuttaling, I think it was very strange to be like, this is Tom's best mate. Here are all the things he disagrees with Tom about. And I feel like in a way, that kind of almost makes the things Tom's are saying sound even more ridiculous by prefacing it by going, even his best friend doesn't agree with him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I completely see what you're saying. I guess my perspective of why I used the clips in that order was that Tommy didn't mention in his video anything about like the grooming stuff or those like shots, and so I didn't have any clips of Tom saying anything that I could then put these clips after or something. Mm-hmm. And so my whole issue leading up to this was related to the them throwing shots at me for say false accusations, whatever, as jokes. And so that was my whole issue, and I needed a way to bring that up, address that. And obviously, having watched both your streams, or at least parts of both your streams, I was aware, obviously, of those times where you mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, thank you, Tubbo. I 100% agree with what you're saying. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. More people need to have that mindset. Okay. And so it wasn't. I wasn't trying to ignore, obviously I'm coming and having this conversation. I wasn't trying to ignore or avoid the rest of any points you made in your live stream. It was more that my video was a response to Tommy's video. And then the fact that they were throwing shots at me, false accusations for jokes, was why I was up to the boiling point I was at. And so I wanted to kind of tell the story of, hey, so yeah, here's why. Here's a source that you can trust saying this. Like Tubbo, obviously, if you hear me saying, hey, these people have been doing this and and it's wrong, it doesn't hit as hard as hearing somebody that obviously is closer to Tommy saying that, and you're more willing to trust that as a source, I guess.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, what you've said there is basically you use the clips of me supporting you because I am the opposite side of the argument, so the viewer will see what I'm saying is more like genuine and fair and open and honest, which makes sense. But what I'm more getting at is I don't understand why you chose to do that at the very start before Tom had said, like, before playing even a single part of what he had said. And I think I just want to understand why you did that.
Yeah, I think when I'm editing a video, I'm going in, I guess, chronological order of from my perspective. Like when I did The Truth as an example, that video, a lot of people critiqued that and said, why did you address these things first? And I said, well, it's chronological order. This is kind of the same thing, I guess. In my mind, I'm going, hey, before Tommy made his video, before before the R-word tweet, Tommy, you and your friends have been doing this, right? And so I was starting with, hey, just to get off the bat, here's my issue, Tommy. That you and your friends have been doing this. Here's, the simplest evidence I can possibly provide that you guys have been doing this is this, someone that that's close to you saying, hey, they've been doing this and they shouldn't be doing this. And then now let's talk about your video that, obviously was prompted by me like crashing out about over those things. So like for me, it was just a chronological thing. It wasn't like, hey, let's just start the video with Tubbo because I want to make this video about Tubbo. It was, hey, let's start the video with why I'm upset, and then let's talk about all the things that Tommy brought up in his video.
Okay,
I guess.
But can you kind of see how?
No, I totally get it.
You can kind of see how it kind of paints like this impression out the gate that like this is so insane. Even his own friends don't agree with him. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I 100% get that.
Yeah,
that wasn't my intention, but I understand how that can be viewed like that. I think that I don't know how I can avoid, like, what do you recommend, like, well, how do you recommend I present it?
My kind of thoughts is that if you're responding to something, it's generally good practice to have the thing be shown first. You know what I mean? That is like my main thing. Rather than just immediately doing the defense and also painting a picture before the argument against you has even been made. I think that's very, I think the first thing I responded to was the R word thing, right? And that was the beginning of Tommy's video. It's like, I didn't show a clip of Tommy saying what he said because I just talked about it. And that was the most, like, I just immediately got into it. I showed my tweet and then talked about it. So, like, if I had included Tommy's, the beginning of Tommy's video where he's talking about the R word, then that's kind of like, I felt like that was that, you know what I mean? So I started with, hey, the beginning of Tommy's video was him saying the R word. And then he said, right after that, he went into, hey, let's talk about us, let's talk about your friends, so on and so forth. So I took the same order where I was like, hey, let's talk about the R word, but I just happened to not show a Tommy clip. And then I went, all right, now let's talk about why I'm upset with you and your friends, in the same order that he did, I guess. I just didn't show a Tommy clip of him talking about the R word. Yeah, okay. No, that's totally fair. So you say you've done this for the sake of doing it in chronological order. Is there any particular reason why you didn't mention the stream you did if it's in chronological order in the video? Like, there was almost no reference to the stream you did beforehand and the things you said there.
That's a good question. I mentioned the stream once, I think I mentioned it when I was talking about
my reaction
Tommy...
to your stream as well, also.
I'm sorry?
You also mentioned it, I feel like it's fair to say, when you were referencing my reaction to that stream you did as well.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it then. I also mentioned it whenever I was talking about the Tommy, like talking down to Tommy or whatever, and I mentioned that I had praised him for the SMP or whatever on the stream before. But I mean, I think a lot of it was like, this video was almost condensing some of the things that I had said on my stream into more consumable, ways and a better, more thought out ways. So it felt unnecessary, I guess, to pull clips from a stream that was not very like planned or articulated well, I guess. It's kind of like this video was like almost like a, hey, let's condense all of this into a 9-minute video. So it just didn't feel right, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, so moving on to the next part of your video now, it's your reaction to when Tom called you and your group of friends sexist, and your response is to ask for what is the context of this. But I think that's quite strange, given in Tom's video he mentions why he thinks you and your friend group are sexist by referencing the situation and how things went down with George and Katie. And I think it's very interesting to remove that context from your video. So,
I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding here, but if you go back and watch Tommy's video, he separates them. So he says, the internet's reaction to the George situation with Katie was sexist. And then he says, and also behind the scenes, you and your friend's sexist remarks has been.
I know, but that's still quite clearly the same point. In like the exact same part of the video, and in the spirit of doing it in chronological order, I feel like it's not unreasonable to assume that he's calling you and your group of friends sexist because of that situation as well.
He said that you and your friends sexist comments behind the scenes. Like, is it how that's in, you're saying that's in relation to Katie Bugs?
Well, I'm saying that like that situation and the reactions to that and how that were handled, and then also I feel like the stuff behind the scenes is mentioned to the stuff that wasn't mentioned with the friend of Robbo's who you apparently called a whore, and then the friend of Ludwig's as well. I feel like that's when he's referencing behind the scenes behavior.
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk about those. It's great you brought that up. So obviously the Ludwig clip that he talked about the other day, I don't know if did you watch that? I don't know. I didn't see that in your VOD, but did you?
Yeah, I watched all of it. Yeah.
So the context, first of all, I don't for Ludwig's friend, I don't know. I have no information on that. I literally have no information. I posted a Reddit post, or like I replied to a Reddit comment where I went into more detail. But it's hard for me to respond to that because I sent Ludwig a message back whenever he said something, you know, similar about that, saying essentially he said, you know, when I messaged him about my truth video and said, hey, are you gonna make a video on this? Hey, I'm open to answer any questions. He replied. And one of the things he said in his reply was that as to why he might not make a video is because he said that I called one of his friends a whore. And of course, my reply was, oh, you know, of course, I don't want to do that. How can you elaborate more on that situation? Like who it was, what happened, what it was. You know, and then I mentioned the Robbo situation where Robbo tweeted out a lie that I called the girl a whore at a party and got slapped for it, which did not happen, never happened, was not a thing that happened. And then, of course, later on, Robbo posted a screenshot of my text to a very good friend of mine saying TSK space whore as a joke to a friend that I literally was with in person 5 minutes later as I was waiting for them. And that was obviously blown out of proportion as well. And so I asked Ludwig if that's what that was about. And he said, no. He replied to me and said, no, that's not what it's about. But I don't want to disclose who it's about because I don't want to, you know, give their identity out essentially. Like I want to protect them.
Yeah.
And my response to Ludwig essentially, which I think I'll reiterate here is easy enough, is it's hard to navigate a situation when there's like a behind the scenes rumor, as an example, like, hey, you know, because Ludwig wasn't there. Like Ludwig, this is something that Ludwig heard from somebody. If I'm giving credence to it and accepting that this happened, which I said to Ludwig, I was like, hey, I'm just going to say, if this happened, I'm going to assume it happened and say, I'd love to talk to this person. I'd love to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, depending on the context. And Ludwig said, I'm just trying to look at his DMs. Ludwig said that this was the context Ludwig gave me. Ludwig said that I jokingly called a friend of his a whore outside of a club when I was drunk. That's the context he gave me. And I essentially said, the only time that I ever have used that word, like whore, slut, any derogatory, you know, word towards women, is jokingly in private to very good friends of mine. That's the only time I've ever used those words. You know, I'll you know, as a joke, I'll call my cat it or something.
If that is the case, though, why would it be that two different people with two separate accounts have said that you've called their friend a whore and they've been like obviously not taken it as a joke?
Well, Robbo was during the Nicholas Cantu situation. So Robbo's obviously, Nicholas Cantu was literally just slandering me, making up lies. That I proved that in my truth video. I provided tons of context to that, and his friends were as well. So that's a unique situation, and that situation is just completely overblown, not true, not something that can be used as a, in my mind, I'm going, okay, it'd be like saying, what's a good example? Like that first situation with Robbo should be thrown out because it's not true. It was completely a lie, and Robbo was supporting Nicholas Cantu during that whole situation with that. And Nicholas Cantu obviously tweeted out a meme about it in that regard. But what I will say is that in what I said to Ludwig as well in DMs was essentially like I just said, I only ever used words like that, or only in the past, in private with people that do not care in joking ways. And that the Nicholas Cantu situation, when that got brought up, it was very eye-opening to how some people feel about those words. Not people being called derogatorily that, but like even in a joking way. Like some people obviously don't like even to be have that used as a joke. Not friends, but I'm saying like the public. And so obviously that's a word that I've removed from my vocabulary since then. But it's hard to navigate a situation when you can't imagine yourself doing something that you're being accused of, but you're being accused of it by somebody that like you trust. Because like I trust Ludwig, and Ludwig saying, hey, one of my friends had this interaction where you jokingly called them a whore. Regardless of not if you were joking, they didn't like it. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That sounds horrible. I would never want to do that. Can I talk to this person? Can I apologize? Can I hear more information so I know what's going on? And of course, in a time where there's so much that is, obviously this is happening also at the peak of the allegations, and there's so much that's being spread that's either not true or exaggerated, or it's hard to know like what's true and what's not. Like it's a hard limbo when you're like, that's why I don't like the behind the scenes thing, because it's a hard, and I'll let you talk right after I say this. It's a hard limbo when you're in a situation where you're accused of something, but you can't get any information. So either one, you can't prove that it's not true, or two, you can't apologize for it or make up for it or grow from it if it is true. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, speaking of proving that things aren't true, it's first of all, man, I understand you want to give context, but we are now so far removed from my original point of why you have said what's the context when Tom has called you and your friend group sexist in his video. We have gone so far away from that we're now like talking about proving that things are false.
I'll simplify it. I said what's the context, because Tommy provided no context. We're talking about something that Ludwig said on his stream after Tommy's
the context
tweet.
He did provide in his video was how you and your friend group reacted to what happened with George and Katie, and also how your community reacted to it, which you are responsible for.
So I think those were two different like parts of the video, right?
But they're said in the same breath in the video.
We can pull up Tommy's video if you'd like. He separates the sentences. He says the whole way the internet reacted to the George situation is sexist, right? And then he says, and behind the scenes, you and your friends' sexist remarks are sexist. They're two different claims, right? He's saying he said that the internet's reaction to George was sexist. And then he said, which I'm not, he's not providing context to what that means as well. Like, what does he mean by, would you like to give clarity? What does he mean by the internet's reaction to George's situation is sexist?
Well, I think it was just like, sorry, give me a second to collect my thoughts.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think to be like, these are two separate things. They are two different sentences when they are complaining about the same issue is quite strange, because also the internet's reaction, I feel as if it is not unreasonable to assume that the majority of the negative reaction towards Katie came from George's community and your community. I feel like that's not an unreasonable thing to assume.
Well, then the question is, what did we do that behind the scenes that's sexist? Which is what the claim that Tommy makes is that we are sexist behind the scenes. And I say, well, what did I personally do that is sexist that Tommy's talking about?
I don't think that's what you personally did. I think it's the fact that you did nothing when you clearly are very in tune with your community and interact in the spaces a lot, which we can see, which is evident by your Reddit posts. I think it's the fact that you didn't do anything about it, which is more telling. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I did an entire space on my Twitter. I had multiple conversations on live. I had multiple discussions regarding it. I feel like, obviously, the reason that wasn't brought up in my video, two things. One, again, he said the internet's reaction, right? I wanted to address his more potent point, which is, why are you guys are sexist, and I go, okay, well, I'm going to address that. But then two, also, it feels like, this wasn't a situation that was hidden from or ran from. The situation that George made multiple, videos on, that I did, I talked about on live multiple times. And so it just feels like opening old wounds and Tommy's taking, making it like into a personal attack or something, rather than, a situation obviously that was very complex and, was very personal for a lot of people. And so that's why I didn't put it in my video. That didn't feel like a me and Tommy thing, and obviously a lot of the rest of the video was me and Tommy, or like me and Tommy and Tommy's direct friends that are saying things. But at the same time, I think those it's important to separate the point of hey, you know, the internet's reaction or your community or something somehow is being sexist, versus the next claim being, I think he specifically said, I do want to pull it up, because I think he specifically said, you and your friends remarks to women behind the scenes is sexist. That's a very like direct claim, right?
Yeah.
It's very direct. Like, hey, you've been saying things to women behind the scenes that's sexist, and that's like, there needs to be like context, right? And that's why I said, where's the context? I don't know. I mean, if that's something that, you know, he genuinely, or he's hearing that from somebody or people that genuinely feel that way, like I don't, first of all, I don't want to be friends with people that would be sexist to women. I don't want to be friends with people that would be making, you know, remarks like that. And I don't want to, I never want to hurt anybody's feelings. So like, I would love, which obviously I've said in tweets and live streams, like, I would love anybody to come talk to me, have a conversation, anything, but I don't, when you don't provide context, but say something like that, I don't, what can I say?
Can I interject a little bit? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It's just, I'm forgetting the stuff you're saying at the start of your sentences.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and originally you're saying the reasoning that you didn't reference Tom's reference to what happened to Katie and George is that you don't want to open old wounds. But also in that video, there is so many, you never have a problem referencing any old content when it's to reinforce your point. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is, in that video, there is so many old clips from years ago, but you only don't want to open up old wounds and bring up old context in this regard. That's weird.
Well, I think that it's different whenever it's a situation involving myself, like directly. Like, I think that obviously when you just, Tommy said, and you said, like, the George and Katie situation. It's not the George and Dream situation. So like, I'm not, obviously I feel much more comfortable being like, hey, here's a clip of me from, you know, 2016 or whatever, than I do talking about something that, like I said, it wasn't something that was hidden from or ran from. It's been talked about. It's not being, you know, avoided. It's more of just like a, hey, this is me and Tommy. Let's talk me and Tommy. And then obviously Tommy's next claim was about me and about my friends being sexist to women.
Sorry to cut you off again. I think it's also, oh God, sorry, what was it? I don't know. Oh, sorry. Can you give me the rundown? What were you saying again at the start?
I'm sorry, I forget what was initially just now.
No. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're saying that the situation with George and Katie doesn't involve you, so you didn't feel it was right to put it in the video. However, earlier, literally a little ago, you were mentioning how you did a Twitter space, you did multiple posts about it.
Yeah, I think of course, because obviously George is.
You have involved yourself in that situation, and you are now part of the wider context of that situation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. 100%. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that, you know, my personal feelings involving it and my personal, like, I don't know what the right word is to use. Like, I'm obviously less affected by that situation than the other parties, right? Like, we both agree on that. Obviously, I'm less affected than the other parties. And so this video, you know, is between it's me and Tommy talking, right? It's not, you know, not George and Tommy. It's not, you know,
I know,
whatever.
But I'm not arguing about like you weren't effective enough by that situation to bring it up. I'm saying that it is a weird that your reason for not mentioning it in the video is that you weren't involved when you were.
Well, no. I mean, I said there's obviously multiple things. I think that his direct, you know, the sentence he says is the internet's reaction. If he had said, Dream, your response to, you know, to the George Katie situation was something, then I would have directly responded to that. But because what am I to say? He says the internet's response, and I'm saying, well, what about my response? Like, you think you know, what about what I said?
The internet's response though was widely yours and George's community, of which half you're responsible for.
Do you think that my response to that situation was sexist?
No, I think your initial getting involved to begin with said space and posts, I think it's difficult. I think you have a responsibility. I mean, it's a complicated situation, even for us to discuss, I'm sure. I mean, it's not... it 100% is. But also, it's not like your initial involvement is what feels weird, because you are very aware that you have many bad actors in your community. And...
oh, of course.
Yeah,
every community has
has very bad actors. And you are also aware that you had these now proven false grooming allegations, which it's not unreasonable to assume that this would attract more bad actors to your community. And I think having that knowledge and then getting involved in this situation, I think, is where it rubs me the wrong way.
Wait, so what's the critique? Me getting,
so I'm saying
making a space or something?
I'm saying that you getting involved in that while having the knowledge that you have maybe more than average bad actors in your community, I think initially brings more bad actor attention, which therefore you yourself, I know it's unreasonable for me to assume that you're able to wrangle that and do that and like control that because obviously it's the exact same group
I think
of people.
you have a responsibility from your audience up to an extent, of course.
Yes, and I think that to know that you have this big toxic community, but then get involved. Sorry, 1 second. To then get involved.
Tubbo, again, I think it is. It's a very nuanced situation, but I mean, I feel like it is. It's not something I feel like we're going to be able to, like discuss in full, I guess. But I was there, right? It's like I feel like it wasn't. At the same time, whenever, obviously George is my best friend, and also I was there. So when I have context for the situation, and input to provide to help come to a resolution, whatever the resolution was, obviously I'm going to provide that. I did it, like I said, I did a Twitter space, I gave input. I feel like I was very fair. I feel like I was very, I don't know, I was honest with how, I was as honest as I possibly could be and as open to everybody, my fans, everybody. I don't support any kind of harassment or hate, especially not involving that situation.
Of course you don't.
It's incredibly complex, and I think that I think that there was a large part of the internet that that had a bad reaction to that situation. I think that goes on both sides of the aisle, I guess. But I think that specifically for this, again, I think just summarize the reason that I didn't put Tommy's clip that he said in my video here was for a couple reasons. One, he said the internet's response, so it wasn't directed at me, so it felt more or less like
but I understand what you're saying. A second, sorry to interrupt again. I have the exact quote from the transcriptions up now, and the exact quote is, "With your group, I cannot believe how the George stuff went down from a year ago. I can't believe the response to it online. It's disgusting. It's sexist, man." He is directly, and this is the transcripts I'm just showing on stream now, and he is directly corresponding your friend group with how that situation went down. Rather,
wait, sorry, can you read the beginning again?
"With your group, I cannot believe how the George stuff went down from a year ago. And I can't believe the response to it online. It's disgusting. It's sexist, man."
So, Tubbo, if you, just to say, the way he says it, this is a recreation. He goes, let's talk about, he goes, "With your group," right? Because he says, "My friends have good hearts," and he goes, "With your group." And then he pauses, and then he says, "The internet's response to the George situation," or whatever you just read. It's
not the internet's response, your response, man.
I'm sorry?
In the quote, it's not the internet's response, it's your response.
Read it again.
"With your group, I can't believe how the George stuff went down from a year ago. I can't believe the response."
But Tubbo, watch. Okay, you're reading the transcript, but in the actual video, he pauses. He has a long pause. He says, basically, this is the transition. He's transitioning from talking about his group, right? He says, "My friends," he says, "My friends have big hearts," or whatever, right? And then he goes, "But essentially, with your group, the internet's response online, blah, blah," right? At least that's how I'm interpreting it. Obviously, we can have a different interpretation, but that's how I'm interpreting it.
I think the wider interpretation of that in that sentence is the internet's response is an added-on piece of information. Like, I think that is why I disagree with your choice to not include that for the sake of not bringing up old
makes more
stuff.
sense.
Because I think with the wording, it's quite, I don't know. Obviously,
well, I think if you listen to if you want to pull up his video, listen to the way he says it. For me, it feels. I mean, I could be completely wrong what his intentions were, but it feels very direct in that he's transitioning from talking about his friend group, and then he says "with your group," and then he says multiple things. He says "with your group." He says "I like how the internet responded to the George situation," bringing that up, and then also behind the scenes, you guys have made sexist remarks, and that's kind of like the summary for "with your group." And then he goes, "Now let's talk about you and me."
How the George stuff.
He kind of chapter of the video almost
with your group,
and this chapter of the video is my friends,
how the George.
But yeah, I mean that okay, we can take that one out if you like for the sake of argument.
Okay.
But that was one of my contributing reasons. Was I interpreted that as, hey, he's critiquing how the internet, how YouTube, how commentary channels, how Twitter, whatever responded to it, not necessarily me. So this is me and Tommy. I'm not going to address that. But then also, again, like I already said, I'm less involved in that situation. It's more of a critique on George, or the George and Katie situation, than it is on me. And then also the fact that it's reopening old wounds for people that are not myself.
Okay. I don't really feel comfortable moving on just yet. I'm just gonna watch what you've told me to watch in Tom's video and play the conversation for those who are watching. Give me a second.
However, with your group, I cannot believe how the George stuff from a year ago went down. I cannot believe the response to it online. It's disgusting. It's sexist, man. And
yeah, so I feel like the interpretation of that is pretty straightforward. I don't like, we can focus on the behind the scenes comment, but I think it inevitably, him referencing how the George stuff went down is directly linked to his criticism of your friend group and is not directly linked to a criticism of online.
Okay. I mean, I interpret that differently, but I think that obviously I guess on that we'll have to agree to disagree. I'm not sure. I'll never know exactly what his intentions were with what he said, but when I was editing my video, obviously that was my interpretation of it.
That's
whatever
enough.
I thought, but I think that the next, I do think that for me, I took the next point as a more directed, like, specific accusation in a way. Like, again, George and Katie, everyone knows about that situation. It's been talked about, it hasn't been avoided. So the next thing is kind of an unknown, where he said, I took it at least as an unknown, where I'm going, he said, hey, you and your friends behind the scenes are sexist, or, to women have been sexist. And so my initial thought with that is, okay, well, that's not something that, what's the context, essentially, which is obviously what I put in my video.
Right. I feel like,
I see what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that we see that differently.
Like it's crazy. It's just like it's a very serious point, and to just leave it at agree to disagree feels like such a disservice to what's being said. Do you agree?
So I guess I'm not sure how to word this. What would you have done differently, I guess, in this situation?
Well, first of all, I would have kept in the full context of the full video Tom made, because that's something your community criticized me for when I reacted to your stream, is not reacting to the full thing and taking the full context.
Oh, that's ridiculous. It was like a 3-hour-long stream. That's ridiculous. Come on.
I know.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
That's ridiculous, guys.
But like, also,
I'm saying, I'm not critiquing you. I'm critiquing my audience. That's ridiculous.
No.
It's a 3-hour-long stream. You can't react. No one's gonna react to the full 3 hours. Did you react to the full 3 hours?
I reacted to
That's
the
ridiculous.
full 3 hours, man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but like, also, Tom's video is not 3 hours long.
Tom's video is 5 minutes.
And it's 5 minutes.
I get it. But honestly, I'll say the reach on a video, right? I feel like people obviously even on the truth video, I got so many comments that were like yap and whatever, that were like, I'm not watching this. It's an hour long. And so I did feel, I'll be honest, I felt a lot of pressure to make the video as concise and as small as possible. So I took the part, I left out things that were repeated. I left, like, as an example, at the beginning, I didn't have any clips of him critiquing me for the R word, but I still addressed it. So I tried to have it be structured in a way where it wasn't
like, doesn't he open his video critiquing you for calling his entire fan base the arse slur though? Yeah,
exactly. And then I opened my video with responding to that right away, but I don't show a clip of it, for time, but also just because I'm just addressing it, so it's not it's not necessary,
right?
In my opinion. Obviously it just comes down to editing style or something, I guess.
Editing style, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like, right, we're gonna talk about, like, behind the scenes, my friends are misogynistic. I think the reason why that is said is very much the stuff with Robbo's mate and Ludwig's mate. I think that's very much that, but also, you say that the stuff with Robbo's mate is entirely disproven to not happen. Can you show now a receipt of that? Because I actually had a call with Robbo before this stream, and just to confirm that the that Ludwig is talking about and his mate are two different people.
Yeah. So I'll reiterate what I said before, because what I said before was that Robbo originally claimed that that I got slapped for calling a girl a whore. That did not happen. That was not something that happened.
But did you call Robbo's mate a whore?
Yes. Yes, I did. But
okay.
I provided the context to that. The context to that was it's actually my mate. So I don't know. I don't even think Robbo's. I mean, I don't know Robbo's relation to them at all. But it was one of my very good friends in a joking manner that never had ever cared. And it was someone that I read it earlier. I quoted it. It was TSK space whore in a text to someone that I was with in person right around that exact same time, and they were not upset. There was no. It was a total friendly exchange. It was not. Yeah, I understand people out of context can say, oh, there's under no circumstance you're calling someone a whore, but I'm not calling someone a whore. I'm using it as like a replacement for like, I don't know, like I'm using it in that context, using it as just like a, I don't know, dummy or word or like idiot, come here, in the same way.
But can you also see? Sorry to cut you off again. Can you also see how the fact that it's happened with Robbo's mate and that's come out, and then Ludwig's now gone on and said it happened to his mate, and you assumed it was the same mate, messaged him, and it was a different person, which he said.
Yeah. So again,
can
I think
you see how it kind of feeds into that narrative?
Yeah. I mean, I completely understand, but I think that there's some lost context there, because one, with Robbo's mate, it's not like, oh, hey, these are two women that are coming out and saying, hey, I derogatorily called them this word. That's not what's happening. The Robbo situation was Robbo and Nicholas Cantu, out of context, trying to use a joking text message as a way to slander me. They had no idea what they were talking about. They just had that, and then they said that I got slapped for calling a girl whore, which didn't happen. They were just making things up, just throwing things at the wall until to see what would stick. And that was one of the things that they did. And but so in one, in my mind, I go, that's whatever. In the Ludwig situation, I don't know. Again, I don't know what that one's about. But even in my message to Ludwig, I was like, yeah, I know that it seems bad to be seemingly talking about these two situations, but you have to understand the context of it. And I also do think that Ludwig slightly misremembered what happened, because I messaged him and he replied to me. He did not reply to me. I messaged him, I said, are you talking about this situation? Because this isn't true. And he said, no, it's about someone different, but I can't say their name. Well, the only reason I sent him, go ahead.
Do you have proof of that interaction? Because it's kind of hard for me to take it at face value when Ludwig's been on stream being like, I didn't respond. I'll send it. Like,
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. Give me 1 minute. I don't know if I want you to show it on stream, because Ludwig.
That's fair enough. I cannot do that. I can just take it in and be like, oh, okay, it did happen. You know what I mean? Because, I just feel like it's very strange when there's two separate occasions. Also, another thing to point out is in your 3-hour stream you did, the only time you mention women in that stream is when you're hyperbolizing or like making really dramatic, exaggerated points with no talk of private calls or any actual evidence as well, which also rubs me the wrong way. Like in your 3-hour stream, you mentioned Hannah and Amy, but everyone else you mentioned in that stream has evidence, conversations, and stuff you spoke about, except for Hannah and Amy, and that's it. And you went as far to say that Amy is some kind of evil mastermind behind the George and Katie situation. Which
no, I did not. No, Tubbo,
that's very how it's interpreted.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people on Twitter. I saw people on TikTok clipping with millions of likes where it's like my rant where I'm going like, there's all NDAs, the SMP, I own all the members, whatever. Where I'm acting like, hey, this is what people are treating me as. They're acting like I'm this evil villain. And it's the same thing with Amesy.
That was in a separate point in the VOD.
Yeah, I know. They're two separate. They're two separate occasions. But with the Amesy thing, I was not at all saying that Amesy is an evil villain. I was making fun of myself, because what happened was after our conversation, right? We had our conversation where we talked about, you expressed, hey, Amesy said that you banned her from the Discord, and after the grooming allegations, right? And then that was cleared up, right?
Yes.
And so before that was cleared up, there was a period of time where I was like, oh my God, Amesy's going around spreading lies about me, right? And so I over-exaggerated that sentiment, and but I was not saying she is. That was cleared up.
But when you're over-exaggerating, you can't reference things you've actually done. For example, when you're over-exaggerating and doing that, you also mentioned the Reddit post you released around the time of the George and Katie situation, where you were like, I think someone's pulling stuff behind the scenes, which is something you actually did. To say that immediately after being really exaggerated and being like Amy's the evil villain, heavily insinuates that in that post, which is referring to the George and Katie situation, you thought that Amy was a mastermind behind the scenes. And I think it's crazy that you're happy to mention that situation on your 3-hour stream, but when it comes to the video, you don't want to mention it and open up old wounds that are more extreme for people that aren't you.
No, yeah.
Why would you mention it in the stream then?
Yeah, I mentioned the Amesy message because I thought it was important context to give an example of when I've done the same thing that I feel like people do to me a lot, I guess. Like I genuinely thought for a period of time after the Katie situation happened and before I talked with Amesy that Amesy was going around and making up lies about me, right? And I was going, oh my God, why are they doing this? I have no idea. And so there was a short period of time where I had that opinion that later on, after I had a singular conversation with Amesy, I was like, wow, that was a ridiculous opinion to have. Why was I assuming that Amesy was this terrible person when they're not? And so the reason I brought that up on the stream was to give an example of a situation where I made that same mistake that I see a lot of people, or that same treatment that I see a lot of people give to me, where I made an assumption because I didn't have a conversation. I was not afraid, but like I didn't reach out to Amesy to ask for clarification because I thought that I made assumptions and was like, oh my God, Amesy's doing these things on purpose or being manipulative or whatever. And then as soon as we had one conversation behind the scenes and she clears up, no, this was a misunderstanding. I didn't mean for that to happen. And whatever. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I, clarified that, we had a short conversation.
But can you
understand where we talked about it.
How when you go from talking about the George and Katie situation, very serious, to dramatic exaggeration of, oh my God, Amy's the evil mastermind behind everything, to then referencing a genuine Reddit post you made about that situation where you said you wouldn't be surprised if there's someone pulling the strings behind the scene. It's crazy. And then also Hannah as well. You brought up Hannah with like no reason as well for mentioning on stream that there's a rumor of the Dream SMP people having signed an NDA. Which also, there was no other evidence or context around bringing up Hannah. The same way I feel like there was no other evidence or context bringing up Amy. And those are the only two people.
What do you mean for Hannah? I wasn't trying. I understand afterwards, after the fact, and looking back on that maybe I should have just said a nameless creator or something. It wasn't at all like a slight on Hannah or like anything that I thought would cause any problems. I was just mentioning another time. There was many times where obviously rumors were spread behind the scenes by creators. And I was giving examples of how people accidentally, like as an example with the Hannah situation, that got brought up, and that was, in my mind, totally innocent. I had a conversation with Hannah where we talked about it, and she had told me, she's like, oh, aren't there NDAs on the SMP? And I was like, oh no, of course not. And we had a conversation about it, and she was like, oh, okay, I thought that because of this and that, and whatever. And so that was a conversation where I was like, oh, it's totally innocent. Hannah thought that, had said that before, and that was a rumor that circulated for a very long time, publicly and privately, that I somehow had Dream SMP members under NDA to not say anything bad about me or whatever. And so I wasn't mentioning that as at all like a slight on Hannah or anything at all. And the same thing with Amy's situation. Like I thought both the situations, I wasn't trying to I felt genuinely I was not trying to attack them or anything. I was both times I was actually referencing situations where with Amesy I was referencing where I was kind of wrong. Like I was like, yeah, I was in the wrong. I made an assumption about Amesy before privately talking to her, and then I said something publicly. Obviously it was alluding to the fact I didn't say her name or anything, but I said something publicly that was alluding to that, using that information. And then I felt terrible after behind the scenes she reached out and said, oh hey, I heard about this, about from Tubbo or whatever. And then we talked, and then I was like, oh my God, I just did the exact same thing that other people do to me. And so both those situations, like I see what you're saying, but both those situations, like what context or proof should I of like shown DMs or something? I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, that wasn't really my point I was making. By the way, also just future reference, Amy's non-binary. But my point I'm making is that
I'm sorry. What is for future reference? Okay.
But basically, my point I was making is with every other person you brought up in that stream, you brought evidence and you showed receipts of this happening and you showed screenshots and grabs and stuff like that. But it didn't happen with Hannah and Amy, which I think rubbed me the wrong way. And then that on top now of knowing that there's one of Lud's Wig's mates that you've called a whore that was upset, and also before you explained that it was a mutual friend of yours, another person you called a whore. I think that adds to how people perceive your behind the scenes interactions with women. I think it all kind of paints this picture. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I think that if you're making the assumption that I'm a terrible person, that that is sexist and misogynistic behind the scenes people, then yeah, it makes sense. If you're hearing, you would take things at face value. From my perspective, I'm going, okay, Tubbo, have you had, I don't know, do you think I'm sexist? Have you had interactions with me where I've exhibited like sexism to women behind the scenes? Or
all I know is
I know,
what you put out on the internet. Because, like, let's be honest, we don't really hang out in person, to be honest.
Okay, sure. From what I put out on the internet, you've seen.
From what I put out on the internet, all I know is that the main bit of, from my perspective, the main bit of Tom's video you cut out was about George and Katie's situation and your community's reaction to it. And I also know that you have an increased amount of bad actors in your community and still chose to get involved in that. I also know that in your 3-hour stream, the only time you brought up people without evidence was in this context. And I also know that there's 2 separate instances where you have called. But
what do you mean without evidence? You said that a couple times. For Amesy and Hannah,
I mean, isn't like showing screenshots, like showing stuff, like it's just your word whenever you reference them. But everyone else in that stream had evidence, is what I'm saying.
I guess for like Amesy as an example, like I'm explaining something that I did wrong, so I didn't feel the need to provide evidence. Like, why am I going to lie about something that I did wrong? You know what I mean?
But it's not clear that you're explaining this because you went wrong. It's like you're talking about very serious what happened with George and Katie, to massive exaggeration of Amy being a massive villain, and then mentioning an actual post you made. That is not clear at any point that you were saying that you were in the wrong in that situation. At any point.
I think there's a little bit of like a not misunderstanding, but like a gap here between what we're. I mean, I guess I'm slightly confused. I think that I never brought up the Katie and George situation in my stream. I brought up the Amesy, which obviously I guess technically in that situation that was a Reddit post that was to that. But the point I was making when that was brought up was, hey, I also at some point made assumptions based on things that were not true about another creator in the Dream SMP, Amesy, and then I reached out, we had a conversation, and I realized, wow, I'm assuming things, and then I of course exaggerated and be like, yeah, this big bad villain, whatever, is the exaggeration where it's like, it's not super far from it, but also for most people with me, it's not super far as well, where people, Dream is this horrible, this master manipulator behind the scenes, whatever. And so I was making the point that, hey, I made that same mistake. That's something that I think everyone should try and work on, and is being more like having more communication, which I think Amesy did an amazing job at communicating. I think that, yeah, in hindsight, after seeing, some people, on Twitter and other people, how they reacted to it, I could have definitely been, more like I could have had more clarity, I guess.
Responsible to have these kind of outbursts where you use very exaggerated language, knowing that things when you're involved are very regularly clipped out of context? Do you think that was a responsible thing to do?
I think that's a valid question. I think that gets into like people understanding like irony and sarcasm, like how much should you have to regulate your, I don't know, like humor or language or whatever, to make sure that things aren't taken out of context, I guess. I feel like when you're talking about other creators, that's definitely a higher, like I feel like there's definitely a much higher level of responsibility there if you're talking about another creator. So I think, like, as an example, when I'm playing an over exaggerated character of myself and being like, haha, I'm a villain, whatever, I think that's totally fine. But I understand what you're saying. I think that probably was a misstep on my part. And I'm sorry to Amesy. I didn't mean to make it seem like she was a villain or anything. No, I was making fun of myself. Like, I was making fun of myself. I was saying, hey, I thought this stupid thing at one point. It wasn't, I wasn't trying to cause her any harm, but I completely understand how that could happen. So yeah, you're right. Yeah. I think that's my fault.
Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. But yeah, my main thing is, I'm like, that is a crazy, like, you often very regularly complain about how you're taken out of context for the things you say, and so you know it happens, and then to do these big theatrical characters and impressions of other streamers, I thought was quite irresponsible.
Okay,
and
yeah,
I'm glad that you
valid.
agree.
I think that's a valid take. I didn't think about it like that. I was obviously I've done it so much myself, and I thought it was clear, but I can totally see how it's not. So yeah, I totally take that. That's my fault.
Okay, cool. So to your point that we mentioned a little bit ago, like, do I think you are a sexist? Do I think you're a misogynist? From everything I've said, what I think is that overall, I don't know you as a person. And I think from how you act online, I think it's very clear that from all of the stuff you've done, that you and your friend group need an attitude adjustment when it comes to interacting with women. And that's what I've said. I don't think you're some irredeemable sexist
Can you provide
pig.
some examples of that?
Yeah, I'm saying the evidence I'm talking about is how the people you brought up in your 3-hour stream came with no evidence and photo receipts for your audience. I'm saying how you engage with the George and Katie situation with the knowledge that you have an increased amount of bad actors in your community. I'm talking about how you cut out that context from Tom's reaction. And I'm talking about how there's 2 separate accounts of calling a woman a whore, even though one of them, I'll give you credit, you say is a mutual friend, but one of them is still a mate of Ludwig's that was upset by it.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's why I've come to that conclusion. I don't think you're an irredeemable sexist pig. That is, I think there is just an element of like a real attitude adjustment and just see how you can conduct yourself and the situations you choose to get yourself involved with to kind of be like, oh, wait, I am doing this. Even I don't know I'm doing this, but I am doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that just to to respond to the last point there, I think that it's really hard. I mentioned this before, but when there's not like context provided, it becomes really difficult, right? So like as an example, you just gave some context, but every piece of context that you gave is unspecific, right? So like, and I'm not.
How do you mean unspecific?
Yeah. So as an example, like you, okay, so let's just take Ludwig's friend, right?
Right.
This is a situation that I don't even know happened, right? And then I ask and try my best to figure out, hey, when did this happen? How did this happen? What, if this did happen, I would love to know what was the scenario where I thought this was okay somehow, so I can learn and grow from that.
I will say you are focusing on the weakest part of what I said.
Well, yeah, so that's one. Sure, that's true. That's one of them. And then like as an example, cutting out Tommy's first, his mention of the Katie Bugs and George situation. Obviously, if you take what I'm saying at face value for my reasons for why I cut it out, then that's not do you think my reason? The reason.
But I'm saying those reasons doesn't
given,
make sense given 2 days prior you brought it up in your live stream. But I'm saying those Dream, you did. Like you talked about the George and Katie situation. This is the exact thing I'm referencing with you talked about George and Katie's situation, then you did the hyperbole exaggeration of Amy, and then you referenced the real Reddit post you made about it, and you did that 2 days before this video came out. So I don't understand your reasoning for cutting it out.
My reply about AIMSy, which I guess is about the Katie and George situation, but I didn't talk about the Katie and I was like a couple steps removed, right? I mean, it was a reply.
But you bring it up in the stream. Like, it's more than just talking about Amy and your misconceptions. You do bring it up, and you say the situation.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I'll take you at your word for it.
That's fair enough.
I don't recall, but I'll take you at your word for it. Maybe it was a 3-hour stream where I was.
I watched the 3-hour VOD, man. I watched the 3-hour VOD, man.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, so I think that obviously, I don't recall that my reasonings for why I included what clips I did of Tommy. I think it's not like, again, when talking about whether I'm sexist or not, I think that one of your 4 reasons being that I didn't include the full context of Tommy's clip, while also asking and saying, hey, what is the context to how I'm sexist? I think that either way is I don't fully clock how that's sexist. I guess I'm not.
Okay, yeah, but that was also a very weak criticism of what I was saying.
Okay, so that's 2 of the 4 though.
Yeah.
That's 2 of the 4 you just gave. So then
another one. So that you said
the response to Katie's situation.
Your choice to get involved when you know how many bad actors you have in your community, as well.
Okay, so what specifically did I do that you think was sexist?
Well, no, I'm saying knowing that you have an increased amount of bad actors in your community, and also you've been on the internet a long time. You know genuinely the wider internet's reaction. This is not real. Like, to know you have a lot of bad actors in your community, to then choose to do a space, choose to make a Reddit post, and become involved.
But Tom, I mean, Tubbo, do you think, are you suggesting that I shouldn't have said anything?
I'm suggesting that, honestly, I'm saying, yeah, actually, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I don't understand.
I guess
well,
I wasn't...
why though? Why did you choose to get involved?
Because one of my best friends was accused of something very serious.
I know, but is your best friend not capable of handling the situation on his own?
No, of course, and he did as well. But I'm also, that's something as well as, like, as an example, right now, Tommy is criticizing me, right, in this video for that, right, for involvement in that. Regardless of what I was receiving, lots of criticism at the time. Still to this day, obviously receive criticism for, anything involving that. And so I'm not completely and fully removed. This is my best friend that I live with. I can't, hey, let's just pretend this didn't happen. Like, I have to respond to that. Obviously I did a space and I did a couple Reddit, replies. And I think that I think that my initial, Reddit reply where the Amesy thing happened, like, I think I regret that reply, because that was done before there was more context provided by Katie's, next live stream. But I think that with the information I was presented, I had to say something.
Did you make any kind of post, like addending what you said?
I don't remember.
I
think that I said something. I mean, I did a space obviously after everything, which I think I did mention, things there as well. But I think I did say something when I talked to Amesy about it.
In public? In front of your massive audience?
I think so. But I obviously my space was after the fact, so I talked about a lot of things in the space that I did, including my Reddit posts.
Okay.
And including what changed, because obviously there was many things that changed in between, and I talked about what changed, between them. So they were based on different information.
Can I also just say that your unsure language surrounding this is also not filling me with confidence that my original opinion that you and your friend group need an attitude adjustment around women is invalid. You know what I mean? Like, for the level of uncertainty when you speak about it's like
Tubbo, I said earlier, but it's a very complex situation. I'm being careful. I don't want to make claims that are false. So I'm being very careful. It happened, almost a year ago.
And I appreciate you being careful.
I'm being careful. That's it. I'm being careful. I don't want you to read into my language in any way. Like, I'm just being careful. That's it.
Okay.
I think that I don't think that
but
I handle that situation perfectly.
But also, when I'm asking you whether you released a statement with more accurate information after the next stream, your answer was maybe, which I don't know.
No, I was talking about the Amesy thing. So in my mind, right then when I was answering that question, why I said maybe was about specifically about Amesy. Like, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I mean, I think I did, but I don't remember if I mentioned Amesy after that. But yeah, I did. I 100%. I did in my space. The entire point of my space was to, hey, here's my updated stance, and here's the updated information. I feel like I just need to say, Dream did text me on Discord and show me the receipts. So yeah. For the Ludwig thing. Yeah. There was a long time ago. Ludwig just misremembered. Crop out the messages, by the way, of who you're messaging in that. I will say. Oh, okay. So just come on, man. I'll do it again. I'll take it again. Okay, right. I feel like I've explained pretty well what I think. I feel like have I explained that well? Do you understand why I'm of the belief that you and your friend group needs an attitude adjustment with your behavior around women? Do you understand where I'm coming from? I understand where you're coming from. I think that communication, honestly, is important, and I think that I understand where you're coming from, but obviously, as someone that's in my position, I think that there's a lot of there's so much misinformation. There's so much communication. I feel like would solve everything, because all of these questions I'm asking you, obviously right now while we're having these calls, are conversations that would be very good to have, behind the scenes when anything happens that anyone's upset about, no matter what it is, because obviously I like to think that I'm a good person, I have good intentions, and that my friends are good people and have good intentions. And so if you let's say I do something that upsets you, I'd want to have you message me, that way I can be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it in that way. I obviously I don't know of examples of where there have been interactions 100% where I've made jokes that I shouldn't have, or whatever, with anybody, not guys, girls.
Yeah, so okay, so you acknowledge that you've made jokes that you shouldn't have, and you said things you shouldn't have, so you can understand from that why I have this opinion, right?
Well, I'm talking about private interactions where I'm like, oh, where I have a conversation with somebody and we have a discussion about it, or whatever. Even with this happened.
Yeah, but even in private, word can travel as well, can't it? Like.
But I'm not talking about sexist things. I'm just giving examples. I'm
then
saying.
Why are we talking about it instead of what I said? You know what I mean?
I'm saying, Tubbo, I'm saying, give me an example, right? So this is what's happening, right?
Okay.
And this is the summary of what, from my perspective, what's happening. I don't like the Ludwig situation, right? Is Ludwig has a secondhand account, right? It's not first person. He heard from someone else that I apparently jokingly called them a whore outside of a club, right? And so this is now, in this case, being brought up as evidence that I'm sexist, and I'm going, oh my God. I don't even know that happened. And if it did happen, then I would love to learn from it, grow from it, apologize to the person, and be able to, adjust my behavior. But I don't even know that this happened. I have no, and I don't know who it was. I don't know where it was. I don't know what the context is. I don't know anything. And so I'm like, how can I don't know.
Say,
like
you have changed your story a little bit in your account of what you said. You've now said that Ludwig said a secondhand account rather than it being a mate of his that's told him. You know what I mean?
No, it's a mate of his that told. That's like that. I meant that as secondhand account. That's first hand is like being there, right? Secondhand is you're hearing it.
No. So like he's heard from the person that this has happened. That's
yeah.
That's not like he's heard from a friend of the person.
Yeah, no, he didn't see this happened. He heard from someone that this happened. Right.
So he heard from someone, or he heard from the person you said.
He heard from the person who said this. Yeah.
Okay.
According to Ludwig. But I mean, I guess I use secondhand as that. I wasn't saying like.
Okay.
That's the same.
Okay.
Like, I guess we're misunderstanding secondhand and firsthand. Like I meant secondhand as that. Like firsthand is like you're there and you see it, you witness it. Secondhand is like you're hearing it. You didn't actually.
It's less
see this
about
happen.
like. It's okay. No, fair enough. But you understand why I think what I think, don't you? Right?
Yeah, I do. I do understand why you think what you think, but I think it's majorly because of the lack of like transparency and communication on the internet. Like I think that's in my mind.
And it's also from like me consuming the content you've done in reference to the 3-hour stream, and in reference to the context that's been removed from videos. Because it does stem from me not understanding why you removed that context when you mentioned it 2 days prior on a live stream. Like,
yeah, so obviously we disagree there, I guess, on me bringing up Amesy or bringing up Hannah as being sexist on my stream, I guess.
No, it's not the fact that you brought them up. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's the fact you brought them up, but with everyone else you brought up in that stream, you had screenshots, evidence, references to private phone calls. Like, you know what I mean? It's the display.
I mean, I don't
like the way that with everyone else you came with screenshots and you came with evidence to show your big community, whereas in regard to those,
I don't think I treated Hannah or Amesy any differently than I treated anybody else.
No, I know you don't. But I'm saying it inherently rubs me the wrong way that there was no, when you're on this big platform, you're very much saying to your audience, take my word at value, this, and this, when with everyone else, you had like evidence of this that you can show.
I think I was very consistent throughout the stream on whoever I was talking about with, when there was evidence to be provided that made sense or was necessary, I provided it. When there was, I was saying something that I either was about myself that I didn't think needed evidence, I didn't, or if it was something that there wasn't evidence, or it was just like as an example, like I brought up our phone call, I didn't provide evidence for that. I just said things that happened. Yeah. And I did the same thing with Hannah because I don't have evidence of this conversation I had with Hannah, but it's something that happened. I mean, we just had a conversation.
But what I'm saying is like can you see how that, in that context, rubs me the wrong way after watching the amount of evidence you've displayed for everyone else and then not here? While whether it was meant wholeheartedly to be exaggerated and like not taken seriously, I feel like you're not listening to me.
I mean, I'll be honest though. I'll be honest though. I don't, with this point specifically, I don't understand completely where you're coming from, because I don't feel like I was any different to Hannah or Amesy on my stream than I was to any of the male creators or anyone else.
I know you don't, and that's okay. But I'm saying that what happened is what is impacting my opinion, and then to say now in this stream, I'm not bringing up this situation because old cuts that affect people worse than me, but then to bring that up 2 days prior in that stream. This is my issue. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I think, like I said, I think there was a multitude of reasons, but I think we have a little bit of a disconnect on this one. Like, I think that, like, obviously you're not going to be able to see into my brain and understand exactly why my 100% intentions on, you know, why I included a clip or why I didn't. But clearly, you know, I'm on a phone call right now with you in front of a lot of people having a conversation about it. I wasn't trying to avoid having a conversation about it.
I don't doubt that I don't think you were trying to avoid it. I don't think you were. I don't think you were trying to, like, you're like generally okay, how do I word this? I don't think you're trying to avoid talking about it. I think you're very open, that you're open to talk about everything, both publicly and privately. That's good. That's fine. But I don't understand when you keep going, there's this disconnect between you and me. I don't think there's a disconnect. I think you're not totally understanding what I'm saying.
You said that essentially that me cutting out that clip and
for the reasoning, you cutting out that clip for the reasoning that you've told me just now, that you don't want to open up old wounds, is weird because you brought it up 2 days before and didn't seem to have an issue.
Okay. Again, I don't know. Do you remember the context to how I brought it up in the other stream?
You just referenced the situation that happened. You literally just blatantly reference it.
Like, what did I say? Do you remember? Or anything, paraphrase?
Oh God!
I'm not. I know it's ridiculous to ask. It's a 3-hour live stream, but I just don't remember this. So I'm trying to figure
all I remember is you referencing the situation, then going straight into the exaggerated bit about Amy, and then referencing the real life thread that you made on Reddit, which I was telling you about.
Yeah, from my memory, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but what I remember is I brought up, you know, our phone call, and how, you know, you mentioned that Amesy had said that I had banned it from the Discord, or, you know, or whatever, and that, you know, it wasn't for a while until I made a post where I mentioned, you know, where I mentioned, you know, behind this, you know, Amesy being whatever, and then I go into the character of like, yeah, I thought this was crazy, I thought there's an evil mastermind, whatever, and then I was like, and then we talked, and Amesy and I talked, and it was cleared up, and I was like, okay, you know, that I shouldn't have thought that. So for me, I guess even depending on what I said, like in my brain, I guess the connection is different there. Like I was talking about, in my mind, I was talking about Amesy. I wasn't talking at all about Katie or, you know, whatever. I was talking specifically about Amesy, you know, me and you, our interaction about Amesy, and how I became misguided because of like rumors / misinformation about Amesy that was, you know, that wasn't true, and that how I acted because of that, and how giving an example of how, you know, a lot of people are the same way towards me sometimes, and how it happens to everyone. It's not just, you know, I'm not just saying, hey, shame on you guys for doing this, but I'm incapable of doing it. Like I've had the same thing, I guess. So like I understand what you're saying, but I guess from my perspective, I'm like, well, I know why I brought it up, and I wasn't thinking of it like that. So I'm not, you know, like you said, if you agree that I'm not trying to like avoid it.
Yeah, I agree. You're not trying to avoid it. I'm explaining that, like, this is the reason why I came to that conclusion, and I don't think you're doing it intentionally. Okay. I will, like, it's just like, in my mind, to go then in your video, which you've released on your YouTube channel with 32 million subs, what is the context of this after I've said all of that, and the video itself adds to that, is also strange. Yeah?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, again, I don't know. Again, Tommy didn't provide context. I don't know what Tommy's talking about.
But all of the things that I've just said have happened. Well,
you've mentioned that the Ludwig thing, which just got public yesterday.
Okay, other than that, of course, because that came out after the video.
But what's other than that? The Katie bug situation?
Yeah, the fact that, like, that was removed from the video, because you said in the video, you edit the video yourself, you made the conscious decision to remove that bit of the video. And I think it's just weird. Your reasoning that you've given me is because, again, old cuts, and I feel like I'm going around in circles a little bit, but you did bring it up 2 days before.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, I think from my perspective, I was talking about Amesy, so I didn't view it as bringing it up, but I could totally see why. I mean, I guess I probably did. If I was talking about the context
you mentioned George and Katie by name in the stream.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. I think that obviously from my intentions were different than what I guess you're thinking they are because of that, but I understand how you're getting to where you are. Like, I understand how you're getting there, but my intentions were not that. My intention was, hey, I'm talking about Amesy. Obviously, this situation is relevant in that direct regard. And in my video, this situation wasn't relevant and wasn't something that I felt the need to, talk about, given that, Tommy obviously made a much more direct claim right after that, where he said, you and your friends are sexist women behind the scenes. And so that direct claim felt much stronger and, better of a, I don't know, it's more complete for me to respond to, where I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, versus obviously when he says, hey, I don't like how the internet responded to that situation. I go, okay, yeah, that's all public. Everyone already knows about all of that. So it's nothing new to discuss in like a video that has a lot of new information, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, right. I feel like we've both said a lot, about this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I honestly, about this, I don't particularly have anything else to say, except for I want so badly to get onto the same page as you, but I feel like I feel like I'm unable to get onto the same page as you. I feel like
it's tough.
Especially when the language you're using when you're talking about this is also, and I know you said it's a difficult situation to not look into the language, but use so many adjectives, man, that like kind of feel downplays very extreme, but like a lesser extreme version of that. Like misremembering, you say a lot. It's just like, and certain such and such is irrelevant. And it just is like, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. You know what do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm a little lost, I'll be honest. I'm just a little tiny bit lost.
I think it comes across as dismissive, and when talking about this whole situation, I think is not when you're talking about it, it's not something you want to come across dismissively as.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I think
I believe it's not your intention to do so, but can you see how I feel that's the case based on the language you're using? I'm a little bit lost, but I think that the simplest way to... How can I help you be less lost? What do I need to explain more?
Well, I think, because you just said, as an example, you just said, you don't think that I have the intention of doing that, but then also say that you think, but ask if I can see how you think that I'm doing that.
There's a difference between me knowing and thinking what your intention is versus how your words are coming off when you're explaining stuff to me. So I can know and think that that's not your intention, but I can't speak for the tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that are watching and reacting to your claim, is the thing. So the way your words come off, even if I think that's not your intention, other people
Can you give a specific example of something? That way I can be more direct about it, I guess,
the
or
way
something?
You're going misguided, the way you're saying certain things are irrelevant.
About what, though? About what? I just want to be more direct,
so
I can directly respond to it.
It was in the conversation we just had. We literally, it was when I was trying to say how we're not on the same page, and I want to get on the same page.
Okay, I guess I feel like we're losing each other here on this specific point, I guess. Because I'm just a little lost. Because like, I obviously, certain things, I've said, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly, or whatever. But if you can give a specific example, then I can go, oh no, here's a more direct response, or you know what I mean? Like I'm happy to respond to whatever.
It's hard for me to give a specific example when you say so much after everything.
I talk a lot.
And it's quite inconcise and not very direct and to the point. And I feel it daisy trains, it kind of tiptoes around what we're talking about and brings up wider context of things that isn't necessarily relevant to answer what I'm asking. Does that make sense?
I see why if you view it like that, that's not good. I understand that. But I guess the topics we're talking about are I guess this is summarizing. I disagree that me cutting out clips, that one clip of Tommy is sexist, because I feel like the more important clip was the next one.
Okay, why though?
Sorry?
Why though? Why do you disagree now?
I disagree with that. That it would disagree that it's. Why do I disagree that it's sexist?
Yeah, why? Given the context that you didn't want to bring it up, not to open up old wounds, only to bring it up 2 days prior. Why?
Well, there's more reasons than just that. One, I feel like it's not, this is a me and Tommy thing. So obviously this is me and Tommy are talking about each other, and the next claim Tommy makes is about me. He says, you and your friends. Obviously, when we're talking about the George situation, and he talks about, the community's reaction, my interpretation of that was, hey, the internet's reaction to this was sexist. This is me and Tommy. The very next point he makes is, hey, you and your friends are sexist. Obviously, I brought that up, said, hey, what's the context?
But the thing is, Tom, you say it's about you and Tommy. He referenced this in his video to you, bringing this into the realm of context which is needed for your response. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, Tommy said a lot of things in his video as well. I mean, I didn't include every single thing that Tommy said. I think that there's some things that I was just like, well, what am I even supposed to say to this?
But why not include this when it's so important? And we've just,
because it's so public. It's such a public thing. It's something that already, everything that needs to be said has been said. From my perspective, everything that needs to be said has been said. And so I don't feel the need to add additional stuff onto a situation like that is complex and does have a lot of, obviously complex feelings with other people that aren't myself.
How complex and how important it is. Your words, and then not to include it because you think all is said, is completely different to what you said earlier when you said you didn't include it because you didn't want to open up old cuts. That's a completely...
No, I gave 3 or 4. I mean, I gave multiple reasons earlier, and that was one of the reasons I gave. One of the reasons I gave was that it's a very complex situation, that I'm not, that it's been very public. There's a lot of information out there on it.
Why do you feel you don't need to provide that context to your large YouTube audience and instead just react to the claim like, I don't know the context of this?
I think that Tommy bringing up a very public situation that has had multiple live streams, that I have already done a space on, that, I have already made my thoughts public on, that George has made his thoughts public on, that has been, brought out into the public almost a year ago. That feels less relevant to this video that's happening today than him making a claim, hey, right now, that, a new claim, you guys are being sexist behind the scenes to women and it's disgusting. That to me is more relevant to my response to Tommy being like, hey, because also it's Tommy making a claim. The first one isn't Tommy making a claim. Tommy's giving an opinion on the first one. The second one is him making a claim. He's saying, you guys behind the scenes are sexist. So I think we're not. I disagree that it was necessary to include it in the video. I think that's the disconnect. So I feel like we aren't going to agree on that, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I'm saying that is a factor that contributes to my opinion. The fact that you don't think that is necessary to include in the video is why I said I think you and your friend group need an attitude adjustment around how you treat women. That the reason why that you don't think that is necessary context also now contributes to that. You understand?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't agree with you, but I understand we'll have different points of view on it. I have no intention of being, sexist, I guess. And
I believe that. I genuinely do believe that. I'm just saying that added is why I've come to this conclusion.
Okay. I mean, I think we probably just can't see eye to eye on this specific situation, but I think everyone, obviously everyone will view things differently no matter what.
Yeah, it's kind of like your intentions are one thing and your impact is another. Do you know what I mean? So like you have all these intentions and I'm telling you the impact comes across in this way. And obviously maybe it's just a me thing, but given the community's response, I don't think it's just a me thing. So what are you suggesting I should have included if I had just included that clip and then had the exact same? I think if you had included that clip and thought it was right to include that clip, it would have made it a lot harder for me for one of my takeaways from that video to be, oh, that's really strange that he wouldn't bring that up and instead react and go, what is the context? And oh, wait a minute, this also plays into those two other accounts I heard. And wait, this also plays into the stream 2 days ago.
The one problem I have with that is before, obviously you were saying that I shouldn't have mentioned Katie at all, and that, you know, obviously before because of, you know, bringing an audience into it, but then you're also suggesting that I should have talked about her more and brought it into my video. Two different things.
Once it's done, you can't undo what you've already done.
But I haven't brought it to my YouTube audience. My YouTube audience is not something that I've...
But I think, while that is true, yes, while that is true, I think once you have already become involved in this situation, to then be like, oh, I didn't do it on this one platform, why bring it to this one platform? There is significant overlap, and I think it's not.
Well, I think also the disconnection that there was again. I think there was many different reasons. I think that there's a ton of different things that contribute to exactly how the video was structured and what was included. I had no ill intentions of not including that. I'm not afraid to talk about it. Obviously, like you said, I'm open to talking about it. I'm not it's not been avoided. It's a situation that's been talked about again and again. I understand how people can view that differently. If you think that is telling of, you know, my feelings about it, you know, or my behavior or something, or other people think that, I think that's, you know, anyone can think what they will come to different opinions. But I disagree
it's an unintended impact is what I'm saying. I'm saying.
But what's the impact?
The impact of people's perception of the things you say paint you to be a sexist. Okay, I think that is the unintended impact of your actions, and I think that's what Tom's referencing, right?
Tom's referencing
because the
me
fact
not
that,
including a clip in my video.
No, because he hadn't seen your video yet. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if this is how wider people are taking the impact of these actions, okay, why, from a creator point of view, why would we be why would we be so open to believing that this is the case? Is it because of actions that you have taken that we know have happened behind the scenes that have kind of made it harder for us to give you the benefit?
That's what? Like what? You please, you just said that. You said actions that you know behind the scenes.
No, not actions that I know, actions that happened. Like, for example, Ludwig's mate, I'm Robbo's mate, okay? Like, yes, one of them was your friend, but that does play into people finding it harder to give you the benefit of a doubt. You know what I mean?
I think that there's a big problem with people chaining things together. It's like, as an example, a false accusation, like a false accusation of me, someone being upset about me calling them a whore, is then being used to prop up a different one and being like, oh, see, this is a pattern. It's like, well, that you can't.
No. I agree. You can't use them to demonstrate there's a pattern. You can't do that. But what you can do is know that this, how much was this spoken about before it was made public, for example, which makes it harder to give you the benefit of a doubt. And, like, dude.
How much was spoken about before it went public? What do you mean by that?
Like, as in amongst people, which make it harder to give you this benefit of a doubt. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's I 100% agree, Tubbo. And I think that's what I was saying, is I think the problem is the communication, because in a world where you never, let's say, you know, like, you obviously, if there's a rumor going around that says, oh, this person did this bad thing, and then that person has no chance to rectify it because they don't know anything about it. They're not being told who it is, where it is, what happened, anything. Then it's just like this. It's impossible to.
Yeah, but it also doesn't change the fact that it happened.
Yeah, no. I 100%. I 100% agree. If I completely lost where we were.
Sorry.
I think that in a world where everyone was completely like communicating with each other and having calls like this, and anytime they had a problem with someone, they were talking to them or having conversations, then these things wouldn't happen. I think it is a problem in my mind. It's a problem that somehow, unbeknownst to me, there's a rumor spreading around that I called a girl, like a random person, a whore, that I have no idea about. I don't know the person. I don't know when it happened. I don't know where it happened. And then, like, my reputation behind the scenes is getting, you know, like, destroyed off of that. And then I have no chance as a person, as a human, to learn from it, grow from it, or even know what it is. Because there's in my mind, I'm like, I don't even know that this happened. I don't even know that this happened.
How do you not know if you called a woman a whore or not, man? What do you mean you have no idea if this happened? I have no idea if this happens. What do you mean?
Okay, Tommy. I mean, fucking.
What the hell, man?
I think about that fucking Tommy's video. Tubbo, if I don't know, if someone that you respect came to you, right, and said, "Hey, my friend said that you did X, Y, and Z," right? And as an example, like I said before, at the time, whore was a word that I had in my vocabulary for my close friends, people that were comfortable with it, right? And then you're told, hey, you called someone that didn't like it, that was uncomfortable with it, that word. And you say, oh my God, okay, like who, where, what, when? You know, I'm sorry, that's not good.
I don't understand how you can't say without confidence whether it happened or not. I don't get that.
Because I don't have any information. I have no information.
But it's not about, you know what actions you did. Yeah? You know what you do. You know what you say. I don't understand how this is the defense of that.
The accusation is that I jokingly called a girl a whore outside of a club when I was drunk. And I asked for any information. I was like, that doesn't sound like something that I would do. And from my perspective, I'm going, if you want me to be honest, Tubbo, that does not fit my character. That is not something that I would do. And I think that it's bullshit. But I have no way of knowing if it's true or not. So I don't want to be a dick by saying that. Okay. So I'm going to be as cordial as possible and say, hey, please tell me who this was. Please tell me where this was. Please tell me so I can please figure this out. And if it was something that happened, then I can go, hey, what the fuck? How did that happen? What's the context? Because either there's context that makes it make sense. Like, let's say, you know, I don't know, this person, I don't know, I guess, I don't know what context there would have to be. But so when I'm saying I don't know that it happened, I'm saying I have no reason to believe this happened because I don't have any memory of this happening.
Then
so
just
please
say it didn't happen. I don't think, if you have no memory of that happening, and also I think it's crazy. I'm
being told by someone that I respect that one of their friends said this. I don't know this friend. I don't know anything about the situation. So my first reaction is going to be, oh, okay, this is a credible person making this claim, right? So it doesn't matter if they said unless it was something absolutely horrid, right? That was ridiculously horrid. My first assumption isn't going to be calling Ludwig a liar. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go, oh, you know what? You're a liar. This didn't happen. My first response is going to be, oh, okay, let's look into this. You know, what is this about? I think that in a scenario where, I think even in a scenario where he had said, you called the girl a whore and it wasn't joking, I would say, no, bullshit. Because he specifically said that even in a joking manner, that it was a joking manner and that I called the girl a whore, it makes me go, okay, maybe there's a 1% scenario where this somehow happened. The right things happened where this person said the right things and I said the right things and it was completely a joke and I just was being stupid and misunderstood what was happening. And in that scenario, I'd love to apologize to that person and love to know that it actually happened. But because I don't know that it happened, it's so tough. Like I don't have any way to. Do you see how it's so frustrating because I don't have any way to rectify the situation.
I can understand your frustration.
I'm sorry for getting heated. It's not at you. It's just like it's frustrating.
Fine. You can be heated at the situation. I know it's not directed at me. Yeah, I just the thing is, which is why I just like. Okay, yes, the word was in your vocabulary and you used it jokingly amongst your friends. But I don't know how. I don't know. Did you like? I don't know in what's. I don't think I've ever met a woman that has liked jokingly being called a whore. To be totally honest, and this is where I'm like. Well, I don't.
I think everyone's different. There's tons. You'll find people that like jokingly being called or seriously being called of almost anything, Tubbo.
Yeah,
I think that it's different. Like for using everyone obviously within their own jokes. Like okay, I've jokingly called my cat a whore. Obviously, how is my cat a whore? My cat's not. I've called George a whore. It's like that is a common. A joke even in our community where they have a meme of George and it says fucking whore under it. I have never in my life used that word in a derogatory way and I never would. I have never in my life used the word whore in a derogatory way and I never would.
Then
that's a statement I can make right now.
If you know that's the case, you can say like, damn right, I didn't call Ludwig's friend a whore. Like you can't.
No, because he said it was joking.
Did he say it was joking? These messages that you've sent me don't say that he says it's joking.
Here, I'll send
And he didn't say that on his own stream.
Context. Yeah, I know. Ludwig did not. Of course, Ludwig was just messing around. I'm not blaming Ludwig for this, but he didn't provide the most context that he could have. It's like, it makes sense. Like, he wasn't probably expecting it to be as big of a thing as he could, but like, here, I'm just gonna send you this screenshot. It's the full. Okay, this doesn't have Ludwig's name in it, but it's the same. Here. I'll read the quote. Okay. But I do know about your interaction with a mutual of ours at a club when you jokingly or not called her a whore. And jokingly or not, he's saying like, it's not okay even though it was a joke.
Which is kind of fair, no?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I 100% agree. If I called somebody a whore even as a joke and they were not okay with it, yeah, that's not okay. 100% full stop. That's not okay. I agree with that. But you're saying then I should be able to deny it. I'm saying the accusation is that I jokingly called a girl a whore, and it's from someone credible, like it's from Ludwig. So I'm saying, obviously, I don't know who Ludwig's friend is. I don't know if they're credible, but I'm assuming that Ludwig is credible. I mean, Ludwig is credible, therefore I'm assuming that the person he's talking to, is credible. So I'm just trusting. Oh, this must have happened. When did this happen? Where was it? Who was it? And honestly, I'll say this: if this person is watching this stream, I am so sorry okay, let's restart. I am so sorry to anyone that I have ever offended with any word that I have ever used, any word, and please reach out to me. If you have any issue with any language, no, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have any issue with any word I've used, any language I've spoken, please tell me. Any phrase I've used, anything that made you uncomfortable, tell me. Or, I don't know, tell somebody you trust that can tell me and have a conversation with me about it.
This is the crazy thing. You could have said that just straight up at the beginning without everything before.
I have said that. I said that to Ludwig in my messages. I said that to Ludwig in the messages.
In your messages, but not in the discussion that we've just been talking about for God knows how long now, man? Like, that is a really good foot forward just to have said exactly when we started this conversation.
That's a good point.
Okay, right. I feel more on the same page with you. Can we skip a bit further into your video?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I closed it down by accident. Give me a second.
Not bad people?
Right. Yeah, I already spoke to you about my clips being cut and the old clips of
Hey,
Tom.
You can gather your thoughts. Can I grab a water real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll be right back.
Hey chat, how we holding up? We feeling all right? Play Minecraft, Connor? Honestly? Real. What are we doing? I gotta stay in my lane. Bro, no, bro. Guys. Again, I'm gonna reiterate what I said before the stream. Try to be my community. Come on. You guys are a representation on me. Try to be as respectful as possible as well before being so reactionary is what I will say. Okay? Streamer, I'm sorry, I can't. Fuck you, man. Honestly, I should grab water. I'm not that thirsty. I'm a little thirsty. Nah, I'm not that thirsty. Yeah, I think next I should probably talk about the merch stuff, but this is difficult for me to talk about. Okay. I think we should go on with the merch stuff next. Are you kidding me? Is Max live reacting to this right now? I'm pulling him up. I'm calling him out just like, I saw that on my phone. I'm like, that's so funny. I got a text from my mum.
All right, I'm back. I just want to say as well, I'm a very,
Yeah?
I communicate weirdly through text, through voice, through everything. I'm a very odd communicator. So it's fair if I'm ever ranting or whatever, feel free to stop me if I'm ever, I don't know, if I'm ever.
Yeah, no, I don't want to interrupt you, man. That's just like, that is rude. Like, I'm not here to interrupt you and shut you down after every single word. I want you to say your piece. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, next up, I want to talk about merch stuff. But before going into this, can I ask that you don't mention the name of the company you referenced in your video?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. Right, so I don't really know. So Tom basically called your merch bad. Okay, it's just an insult. I'm gonna be so real. Next up, you talk about your merch being a family-run business. All well and good. That's fine. But next up, you accused Tom of using child labor to manufacture his merch, and I don't know how to put it differently. Could you shed some light on that?
So obviously, because I run our merch business, we had to do a lot of research into companies and factories, and one of the reasons I wanted to run my own merch company was to be able to make sure that everyone is compensated fairly and everyone is treated right, and we do things the right way and use the right processes and source from the right people and so on and so forth. And that company was operating out of countries and factories that use child labor for producing their goods, their merchandise. And so it's not a critique of Tommy, it's a critique of just to clarify for the rest, is my point with that section, this is really short, my point with that section was Tommy said, hey, your merch designs suck, and my response was, hey, I'd rather have sucky merch designs than work with a merch company that scammed people, so on and so forth.
Okay, right. First of all, what you have said there is nothing like how it's perceived in the video. What you say in the video is Tom worked with a merch company that did child labor, and his merchandise is produced with child labor, and you have not shown any proof of that, which is defamation. I
mean, that's not that. It's 100% factually true. I mean, I can't say that company name. If I would say it right now. That company used child labor. Then
where's the proof? Because
Tommy,
how is Tommy the proof? I don't understand. Where is the proof?
Okay. Tubbo, are you saying, I just want to say this, as someone who looked into it's hard not to say, like, operate while not saying the name.
Just don't say the name.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. That company, right? Do you know where their operations are based out of?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you just talked to them or researched the child labor laws and issues in that particular region and with the companies that they have worked with?
In that region, yeah. You still didn't provide any proof. Now, I can't go out and provide proof, and you know why I can't. But that is still an insane thing to say, that someone's merch is, because you put it forward as if it's 100% fact that you know this, that the merch was produced using child labor, and there is no evidence of that. And to say I think
we'll have a disconnect here, Tubbo, because this is just, we'll have a disconnect here because of my experiences when sourcing merchandise for, like, the exact same process, right? It's like we have the warehouses we have in Orlando, Florida, right? Do printing and and embroidering and everything themselves, right? And where you source from obviously is very important. Yeah. I had discussions with insert name company about where they source from. Yeah. Obviously, this is you're okay. This is a company that scammed you, right? Scammed fans, scammed other creators out of money, and didn't ship, didn't do refunds, have a shit ton of problems. This is just an additional problem that this company has been involved in, as do a lot of other major companies.
Okay, can I explain real quick? Okay, what you have just said, you still have not showed any proof. Like, okay, you've spoken to this, so you're saying without a shadow of a doubt You've spoken to this company. You've seen evidence in the factories they use of blatant child labor being used to manufacture TommyInnit merch. And you can prove that 100% and it would stand up in court.
I think that we're having a disconnect.
What is the disconnect?
This is the disconnect. The disconnect is that, okay, the reason that the reason that again, I guess I don't even need to talk about my merch company anymore, but yes. Yeah, sure. I'll just say yes. Yes.
Then
this company,
show it. Show the proof now.
Well, I don't have right in front of me right this second the receipts of from this company. You're also asking me not to say the company's name.
Yeah, you could not say the company's name and show the proof.
But Tubbo, this is a common practice that is only avoided if you actively avoid it, right? So this is not special that this company has done this. This is not illegal that this company has done this.
So you're telling me you know without a shadow of a doubt, Tom didn't make an effort to avoid this practice.
No, I don't know. I have no idea his specific efforts. I know where this merch company produces. Tubbo, I know where this merch company produces their merch. I know the ethics and issues that this country has with these issues, and I know that all of this company, company's merch, or at least specific drops that I know of, were working out of certain areas and out of certain factories that were in regions. Sorry,
but you have yet to prove it. But just because, also, by the way, in manufacturing regions, because a lot of this company's merchandise was manufactured in China. Yeah?
Yeah, a lot of it was.
Yeah. Just because there is factories in that region that employ unethical practices doesn't mean every factory, because these regions you're talking about are massive provinces.
Yeah,
some of the provinces in China are bigger than my country.
I'm sure there's ethical factories and there's unethical factories, and there's operating out of more different regions and different regional laws and so on and so forth. But Tubbo, the point I just want to I'm not sure. Are you saying 100% without a doubt that they did not?
No, I'm saying, okay, so you're painting it to be the case that this was for every single thing, where to my knowledge I know of one example where this happened. And you have not provided any proof for what you said.
Okay, so you're saying that you know of this having happened at this company.
Yes.
And know of an example of this having happened, and don't believe me when I didn't feel that. Okay, first of all, I don't and didn't feel the need to provide receipts for this claim, because fuck that company. I don't have any.
But that's not the point. You were accusing Tom of something. Cause fuck this company.
No, I'm not accusing Tom. I'm not accusing Tom of anything. I'm not accusing Tom of anything. No, Tubbo, I'm not. This is the disconnect between us. I'm saying this is the retort. The retort is, hey, Tommy said, hey, your merch designs suck. And I'm saying, hey, well, I'd rather have shitty merch designs than have worked with this company. How do I avoid having worked with that company? By making my own merch company. That's it. So I'm saying, hey, Tom, I would have rather that. I'm not accusing him of anything.
That is not how the video plays, man. That is not how the video plays. You blatantly say, Tom worked with this company does child labor. Yeah, that is what you said in your video.
Yeah, Tommy works with this company.
What is the viewer to think?
Tubbo, were you scammed by this company?
I can't tell you that.
Okay, well, okay, guys, I'll say it then. Tubbo was not paid fairly by this company. He is owed a lot of money. This company did not pay out.
You don't know that to be fact.
How do I not know that to be fact?
You don't know that to be fact, and you don't know the situation you're referencing right now. And you've already said incorrect things. But I can't say.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I think I know more than you think that I know, but for your sake,
then
I will be
message
careful.
me on Discord now before you say, and I can say.
Message you what?
Message me what you're going to say, and I can say what is the case and what isn't. Because you have blatantly insinuated that Tom has produced merch with a company that does child labor, and his merch was made with child labor, is how the video plays.
The video, obviously the video sorry, I'm just like, it's hard to like type and talk at the same time. Yeah, I mean, the whole point of that section of the video is essentially, hey, this company, bad company, they do many unethical things, including they work child labor, including scamming creators, including scamming fans by not.
Can we ignore the scamming creators bit for a minute, because I want to talk about that as well.
Sure.
But I want to just focus exactly on child labor and not bring in any other context until we're done with this bit.
Okay, Tubbo, you just said that you know of an instance of this company using child labor.
Yes, I know of a one-off instance.
Okay, Tubbo,
okay,
that's enough for me in this instance. Where how are you disputing what the video is saying?
I know the situation around that incident, and I know it's a separate facility to the ones that you're referencing where Tom's merch was manufactured. But you don't, because you don't have the full context, and you've put it in your video like you do, and you know that no one can legally talk about this. In the CoffeeZilla video, you reference, CoffeeZilla says how no creator can talk about this. And he reached out for comment and no one can comment. And now you have brought this up knowing that no one can defend themselves because no one can talk about it.
Tubbo, defend themselves from what? I'm not... Okay,
from you accusing them of using child labor, Dream. What do you mean defend them from what?
Okay, Tubbo, there's multiple claims back to back to back that are made that are, the whole point is this company is bad, right? This company is bad. They have used child labor. They have used, they have exploited fans. They have had not only, obviously way more than just that, even from like, if you've watched CoffeeZilla's video, it's terrible. When I showed, I saw like parts of your stream, and I know obviously this is a very emotional thing for you, so I don't want to, you know, I'm not genuinely.
I'm not emotional about it. It's sorted, okay? I don't want it to be painted as an emotional thing for me. What I am emotional about.
That's not what I was trying to say. Okay. I was just saying it looks like you're obviously.
No, I'm heated because I feel like you're not understanding me.
Okay. All right. I'll do my best to understand. And I think this is why I said before. The point of that section of the video was hey, you know, you insult my merch, right? And you say it has bad designs, while let's look at the merch company. Let's look at your merch. Your merch company had these, you know, all of these ethical problems, including child labor, et cetera, et cetera.
There's a big difference there, though, as well, because calling someone's merch designs bad is not a crime. Someone using child labor to profit is a crime.
It depends.
What do you mean it depends?
Well, Tommy. Okay, first of all, Tommy, no matter what, did not commit any crimes. Tommy's not on the stand here. This is about
and you didn't say that in the video where you accused his merch of being made by child labor. Why?
What?
You just said Tommy didn't commit any crimes. Therefore, Tommy didn't profit off of child labor. Therefore, why is that in your response video?
Because the critique wasn't of Tommy. The critique, like, okay, you didn't know that this merch company was going to do all this stuff, right? Like, you had no idea. You thought, okay, whatever. The creators that worked with this company, obviously, none of them were at fault for what happened. Like, you know, all the creators that were even on that page where it showed from CoffeeZilla's video, none of those creators are at fault at all. The critique was a critique on Tommy's critique of me, not a critique of Tommy. It's like, hey, you know, hey, you're saying that my designs are bad. Well, I'd rather, you know, hey, well, let's if you're gonna joke about my stuff, let's joke about what you had going on. That wasn't good.
Okay, joking about you having merch designs and joking that someone uses child labor to profit, which is a crime. Again, very different. Also, you're having this issue with your intent versus your impact. I'm telling you, the wide impact of this clip that you've put on here is blatantly accusing Tom of making his merch with child labor. I've watched the video.
I know that this is like, okay. We both agree that this merch company has used child labor, has exploited fans, maybe we both don't agree on this last one, allegedly has scammed creators. And
no, we do agree on that.
Okay, has scammed creators. And we agree on all of those points. And then you're going, but joking about Tommy working with a company that uses child labor is not okay?
Because it's a crime.
That this company has allegedly committed.
No, it's a crime that Tom has profit off of child labor. And you don't say in your video, oh, I'm sure he didn't know about this. You don't say that this is completely directed at the company. You go straight from Tom talking about your merch to you talking about his. Which is, by definition, defamation.
Tubbo, that is just not remotely true. That's not remotely true. My video, it's a satirical point saying, hey, Tommy, the merch company that you worked with, I bet you're so glad you went with this company. This company has done child labor, scammed creators, scammed fans. That's the point. And you have agreed with me on every single one of those points. That's why I just don't understand the disconnect. Obviously, it's like, I understand what you're saying is that it's frustrating that I painted Tommy in a bad light, right? That's the frustration, right? The frustration is I painted Tommy in a bad light by pointing out that this company that he worked with did these bad things. I never said, therefore TommyInnit needs to get locked up and go to jail. And nobody from my comments, nobody that I've seen has said anything like that or implied that TommyInnit was wrong for having done that. It was just like it's a clap back to his critique.
No, but the thing oh God, I forgot what I was going to say. No, but the thing is, you provided no proof of that. Zero. And you always go on about providing proof.
I think
you always go on about providing evidence, and for this you provided nothing.
Okay, so I think that I think it's important when you're making allegations generally to provide evidence. I think that's very, in my mind, that's very important, which is why I was so frustrated with Tommy's video and how no screenshots, no examples, no evidence for literally anything that he said. But for this specific claim, with my experience working with outsourcing of merchandise, I did not feel necessary to provide proof that a company that operated out of China and has had child laborers, issues with child laborers before, have used child laborers. I meant to...
No, sir, look, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that you have no proof, is what I'm saying, and you have just said this and expect me to take your word at face value.
I'm honestly genuinely confused because you said 1 minute ago that this company has used child laborers yourself.
Yes, one instance, okay? Not connected to Tom.
Okay, so
you didn't provide evidence of that one instance.
First of all, I would be surprised if it's just one instance based on what I know, but I will say that
then what do you know?
Even Tubbo, in the case where it's one instance, let's say it's one instance, right? That completely validates everything I said. It's not valid to joke about a company using child labor that used child labor. Oh, it was only one instance. They only hired children laborers one time. Like, that's like, come on, just give me. You have to give me the benefit of the doubt and realize that this company is a terrible company that has done terrible things. That's the joke. That's the joke.
But I don't even know. I don't even know why you're not understanding me. It is not about this company. It is about your critique of Tom. Like you yourself have said many times, this video is about you and Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're literally you're criticizing Tom's merch company instead of Tom for using child labor. But in this video, which you framed, which is entirely about you and Tom, why the mentioning of the child labor of the merch company and also the added context of you saying, oh, I do all of my own merch and it's all in-house, it's a family business, and then you're like, this is Tom's merch company. You don't add the context that Tom isn't overly involved in this company. You don't add that context. You don't add that it's a massive distributor. You frame it in the same way that you frame your company as like, oh, it's a little, it's like run by a small group of people. Oh, this is Tom's merch company. Oh, but hidden child labor. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I actually understand that now. I didn't. That was not something that I was thinking of before. I think that from my framing, in my mind, I guess that was like obvious. Like, obviously there was a lot of, even on CoffeeZilla's video, he's talking about it. There was a ton of creators shown.
But you didn't put the context of CoffeeZilla's video in your video.
Well, I did. I showed like obviously the tower where I edited like Tommy's head on. Like, I showed the tower of creators and everything, and how he said a lot of the biggest creators in the world, and I had him talking about it.
Yeah, but that isn't. Again, you yourself go on about using the full context and explaining everything to make sure that a honest opinion can be formed about a situation where you yourself just now have removed all of the context of Zilla's videos? CoffeeZilla's video about it.
I mean, I showed like the intro to CoffeeZilla's video where he says, some of these creators, a lot of the biggest internet creators are involved in this merch company that is involved in a scam, and here, you know, blah blah, they got scammed audience. Here's some, you know, whatever, like that. That's the context provided is like, I understand what you're saying now. Before I was more confused, but I understand now. What you're saying is, yeah, some people could potentially be confused and think that it's Tommy's, like Tommy owned merch company.
But
like,
why would they not think that when you Photoshop his fucking face at the top of the pyramid scheme?
Well, I mean, it wasn't
like you just said you did that yourself.
Well, yeah, I did. It's first of all, it's edited on top of it. Second of all, Mr. Beast wasn't the owner of this company either, and Mr. Beast was on that picture.
But when that
like those people didn't do anything wrong, like Valkyrie and all them, like they didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't like, that wasn't used as to say that, oh, big bad. It's like, hey, you know, Tommy was a part of this company as well. He could have very easily been on that list of people. He was bigger than some of those creators.
But you didn't provide that context. When that graphic comes up in the CoffeeZilla video, it's far into the video where all the context has happened. In your video, it's a one frame showing a pyramid of creators with Tom at the top while talking about a merch company that used child labor, and when talking about Tom's merch manufacturing.
I'll have to see, but I'm pretty sure that's the intro of the video, like the tower. Like I think that's the intro.
No, but the context you don't have is the information about the company that CoffeeZilla has, and he puts that before that graphics.
The first 1 second of the video is that tower. You said that was far into the video. I'm just saying this is the first 1 second of the video.
But like,
that's all right.
Dude, there is still more context in that video that you've left out. And also, that tower being spoke about in the context of your video is what the issue is. Like, no one watching CoffeeZilla's video takeaway was Mr. Beast uses child labor to manufacture merch. No one's takeaway was that. Whereas in your video, loads of people's takeaway was TommyInnit uses child labor to manufacture merch. I'm saying why they might think that is you photoshopped his face on the top of the pyramid scheme while removing the context of CoffeeZilla's video. I'm saying you
what context I remove of CoffeeZilla's video? That's the same. It's the exact same.
All of the information about the merch company and the receipts of it and the proof.
I'm not going to include that in my video. Like, I'm going to include a 21-minute video.
Then you shouldn't bring it up. Then you shouldn't bring it up. You yourself say you shouldn't bring things up without the full context. I'm only applying your own rules to you here.
I think that the correct amount of context was applied. What did I need? I said that I didn't say anything inaccurate.
But you agreed with me a second ago that framing this after talking about your small individually run.
No, where we disagree, I now understand where you're coming from, but I disagree that the average person's opinion, or even that a lot of people will go, wow, that's Tommy's merch company, right? We show the way that the clip I do include.
You called it Tommy's merch company. Why would people not take that away and assume it's Tommy's merch company when you call it that yourself?
Well, okay. When I'm using it as two different phrases, like Tommy's merch company versus the merch company that Tommy uses, right?
But you're using it in the same context as when I say my merch company, Dream's merch company, Dream.shop. And then you go, Tommy's merch company. All the bad things Tommy's merch company has done.
That's fair. That's totally fair criticism. I should have said the merch company that Tommy uses. 100%. Now that you've pointed that out, that makes sense to me. I should have said that. I should have said, leave everything else the same. Say the merch company that Tommy uses instead of Tommy's merch company. That's what I meant by Tommy's merch company. The merch company that Tommy uses, Tommy's merch company. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying the framing makes it seem like
isn't even relevant if you have no evidence of Tom using child labor. Why is that relevant?
What?
If you have no evidence of Tom making merch. I promise you, I'm the most serious I could be. Okay, why is that relevant if there is no evidence of Tom using child labor? Why is that relevant? Unless you have concrete evidence.
You just said 5 minutes ago in this stream that you yourself personally, outside of anything that I know, outside of conversations that I've had, you yourself personally have knowledge of that company using child labor. My point that I made in the video was, well, let's talk about Tommy's merch company. They use child labor, they scam creators, they scammed fans, and that was like you know, hey, you know, don't throw rocks in a glass house. Essentially, that was the point of that point. We're arguing over whether we're arguing over whether this crappy company has done all these terrible things. Did child labor on everything, or did less child labor?
No,
that's what we're arguing
saying,
over.
No, I'm saying it needs to be honest, man. It needs to be honest.
It's 100. It's completely honest, Tubbo.
Then why did you, if it's completely honest and you can make it completely honest, why not show the proof of Tom's merch being manufactured with child labor, and why not display that truth? And why not?
I feel like
if it's honest, you can prove it.
Yeah. So first of all, if you want to, the quote that I said was, unfortunately, or oh no, that was about the bankrupt. Let me listen to exactly what I said. I'm gonna play it.
You said
Tommy
listen.
Okay. Tommy worked with the Tommy worked with a merch company that had some really cool designs. With some very hardworking child laborers to make it possible.
Yeah,
that is 100% fact.
So okay, so you're talking about Tommy's merch designs. Yeah, you're talking about Tommy's merch. And then you go, yeah, his merch wouldn't be possible without these working child laborers. Do you not hear what you're saying? And how is that not a direct accusation of accusing Tom of using child labor to make his merch?
So the company used child labor. But I'll say this, Tubbo. Let's take that same exact framing, right? So in a world where you just said that you know, it made it, that child labor made making Tommy's merch possible, right? So you didn't say that, but you're saying that's what I'm saying. In a world where that one instance that you're referencing, let's ignore the fact that obviously behind the scenes, you know, based on the things that, you know, that's something that Tommy says, but behind the scenes, I have my own reasons for saying what I'm saying. But ignoring that, based on using literally only your own confirmed experiences, if this company profited off of child labor in any instance, which it has based on what you're saying, then that money they made from that helped making everyone else's merch possible no matter what. If it was used in one instance, and that's only based on not even any evidence I would provide, any personal experience of myself, just your own personal experience. So I don't know the inner workings of every single merch drop Tommy has ever done. I'm critiquing this merch company who has done child labor and also scammed fans and creators, and the reason that I know the timings of at least certain drops, and I don't want to go into too much detail for the similar reasons to why you wouldn't want to go into too much detail, is that Tommy was debating joining my merch company. And so I had discussions with Tommy around that time and discussions with that company as well. So I have obviously more information that I don't really want to provide, but that claim is not a claim that's being disputed by this company, right? And this is not a claim that and that you have yourself backed up by saying that the company has used child labor. So I understand what you're saying, but
the difference is I'm not accusing someone of having their merch made using child labor. That's the difference.
Yeah, no, I agree, and my critique, which is a critique of Tommy's critique, is Tommy unfortunately worked with a merch company that was terrible, that used child labor, that scammed fans, did not issue refunds, scammed creators, misused funds, did a lot of stuff. And on top of even more than that, if you watch CoffeeZilla's video, there's a lot even more than that to do with
I've seen the video.
I don't know, like terrible sexual stuff and so on and so forth. And like that's the accusation, and those are all completely 100% provable facts. And so I understand how it can be taken, and obviously it's in a joking way, being like, hey Tommy, don't throw stones in a glass house. There's this company's pretty shitty, and you're critiquing my merch company for its designs.
I don't understand. What I don't understand is how you cannot see how this is a very serious thing that you've said and accused, and I don't understand how you can't see that it comes across as an accusation of Tom using child labor.
The company that Tommy worked with for merch used child labor, from what I know of, and you have also corroborated that this company has used child labor. Yes, you've said that this was potentially not with Tommy's merchandise, and you've also agreed that this company has scammed fans, also agreed this company has scammed creators. I don't know where our disconnect is. I don't understand.
How do you know this though? How do you know this? Like, you need to explain.
I said, Tubbo, I explained 5, 6 different times.
Then can you show me? Can you show me the proof?
The proof that the company uses child labor?
Yeah, show the proof.
Okay,
and
I do not feel, Tubbo, I don't feel the need to show evidence when you yourself, quote, word for word, said that this company has, at least in one instance, used child labor. But
yeah,
I did not feel the need. I'll tell you why I did not feel the need to provide evidence to my claim in my video, which I already said, is because this is a common practice, very extreme common practice, and I have personal experiences from the business side of things, behind the scenes, business interactions, that for the same reason I'm sure that you would not want to make certain things public, that I would not want to make public. I did not feel the need to make this information public in order to prove a statement that is just... Could you not just do it
because I'm asking you, though?
I'm sorry?
Could you not just do it because I'm asking you to?
If you'd like to have a conversation off stream about this, I'd be happy to have a conversation.
But I feel like it's important context that needs to be included in your initial video.
Why, Tubbo? Why?
Because in your initial video, you don't, or like your reasoning now is that you have me confirming, yes, that's the case. In your initial video,
I'm saying I don't
have
feel
that. You don't have that. You don't have my input on your initial video.
Yeah. My reasoning for saying that was not based on your input, but your input is helpful in this discussion to say, hey, yeah, okay, great, that's awesome. But
you just said the reason you don't feel the need to show it is because I've agreed that it happened.
I'm sorry?
You said the reason you don't need to show the proof is because you agree. You're saying I agreed it happened, but in your original video, I did not agree that it happened. You don't have that second account.
Yeah, no, it's not something that I would be showing regardless, but it is something that I've been obviously explaining the context as to, why I have this very strong belief and why I provided that information in this video. And then I'm saying, hey, you back that up by saying, yes, this company has used child labor, at least in one instance. I'm not saying that that was at all in my reasoning for saying that in the video. I'm saying that, great, that backs it up. Obviously, it's like you also cannot say without you're saying, hey, I know for sure this company has used child labor at least in one instance, and I cannot say for sure that they have not used it in other instances, and I cannot say for sure they did not use it for Tommy instances, but actually, I would like you to provide proof for a joke that you made about them using child labor.
I have never, okay, first of all, you just said, I have no evidence to prove that they didn't use it for Tom's drop, which is not the case. It's just not, and
so you have evidence to prove that they didn't use it for Tommy's drop?
You know I can't confirm or deny that, man. See, this is the issue. I don't understand, knowing what you know, why you would put this in the video. This is what I don't understand. If you know as much as you say you know, and you know how everyone is tied up, why, if you don't have unrefutable proof that Tom's merch was made with child labor, why are you bringing that up as a dig at Tom when the video's about him?
So the dig is on Tom for using this company.
Then why are you mentioning child labor if you have no proof Tom used?
Because this company has done child labor. You've said that yourself.
Video is not about the merch company. It's about Tom. Like, we're in agreement when it comes to the merch company.
Okay, so Tommy saying that my designs suck are about me? No, it's not. It's about the designs and about the merch company. It's the same thing. It's like a critique of his critique, Tommy.
Yeah, but it's
Tubbo.
not.
Oh my god.
It's not.
We're talking about Tommy. Sorry.
Right. Here's the thing. It's not proportional response, man. To accuse someone of a literal crime, and then
that this company they've worked with has confirmed.
He just said your merch designs were bad, and you basically went up and said that his was made with child labor. It's not comparable. I don't know why you can't see that that's not comparable.
Tubbo, I'll walk through my reasoning one more time, and then I think you can say whatever piece you want, whatever you want to say, and then I feel like we move on from this, okay? Because I think we don't have a connect here. But this is my reasoning, and then you can say whatever you want, and then we move on.
Okay.
My reasoning for the way that clip was phrased and how everything went was Tommy. I'm just listening one more time. I said Tommy worked with a merch company that actually had some really cool designs. with some very hardworking child laborers to make it possible. Unfortunately, that company also went bankrupt, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. The reason I made that claim is because this company has factually, based on my experiences, your experiences, other creators' experiences that I talked to, factually used child labor, scammed fans, and scammed creators. So I'm critiquing, hey, don't throw rocks in glass houses. You're critiquing my merch company. Let's talk about the merch company that you worked with. And it is in a joking way. It's not meant to be a critique on Tommy. It's meant to be a critique on, hey, it's a clapback. It's saying, hey, you're making. I'd rather have shitty merch designs than allegedly shitty merch designs than work with a company that scammed my fans. And I obviously made it win out of the way. So that's the reasoning for that. And I think that's fair, but I understand how you may feel differently, especially due to your personal experience with this company.
No, but okay, right? Yes, and yes, but also Tom saying your merch designs are bad is a matter of opinion. You agree?
Yeah.
You saying Tom's merch company uses child labor is a matter of fact that needs proof and is accusation of a crime.
So you just said that Tommy's merch company, you just said that I claim that Tommy's merch company uses child labor. Has the merch company that Tommy worked with used child labor? One word answer. Yes, they have. Okay,
but
so what?
You need to prove it, man. In a video where you don't have my perception and you don't have me going, yeah, they did, you need to prove that.
So what? Do you feel the same way about everything Tommy said in his video?
What do you mean, do I feel the same?
Well, I'm saying you're saying that because this one claim
Tommy didn't
that because I thought it was so objectively agreed upon amongst creators and everyone behind the scenes that I did not feel the need to provide evidence to it because I was like, no one's going to dispute this. This company sucks and everyone knows this.
In Tom's video, he didn't accuse you of any crimes. Again.
I mean, he accused me of a lot of things. He said I'm a liar. I've lied to him. I've lied to my audience. I've lied to whatever. He said that I'm a sexist. He said that I'm
none of which is a crime, and all of which is matters of opinion, which you can debate and talk about.
I think so. I think opinion is an interesting way for like saying like lies and sexist and stuff. I think there is nuance for sure, but I think that.
No, I know, but when you boil it down, it's also weird. You provided evidence for everything which was a matter of opinion, but we get to an actual crime and you don't provide any evidence. Why?
I mean, I explained why I didn't feel the need to provide any evidence for this particular thing, but it's not.
You're assuming your 32 million subscribers all have this context.
No,
which
but
I guarantee you they don't.
I have this context, as do the creators that I'm talking to. They have this context, and the creators that I'm talking about have this context. So I do not feel I'm confident in my claim, so I don't feel the need to provide the evidence for this claim when it's not going to be disputed. But obviously we're arguing over the fact that we're not arguing over the fact of what I said is true. We're arguing over whether or not I provided evidence in the video of it being true, which I think is like, well, I mean, if it's true, then why does it matter if I provided evidence in the video for it?
The difference is you're not talking to a room full of creators. You're talking to your large YouTube platform, again, with 32 million people subscribed to it. Every creator knows the context of this company is bad. But I can see as evidence from my chat right now, there's so many people going, what company is this? What company is this? Why have I never heard of this?
Yeah. But but okay. The reason it's bad to not provide evidence and context for, as an example, Tommy saying that I'm a liar or a sexist or whatever, is because he's making a direct claim about me personally that without providing any evidence, and I have a right to be able to dispute that claim, right? If you're making, like, as an example, this is the same thing, maybe this is where our disconnect is, but like as an example, when we talked about the Amesy and Hannah things earlier, or like the Amesy thing as an example, I didn't feel the need to provide evidence when I said the Amesy thing because it was something that I was like, oh, everyone agrees. Amesy's not going to disagree with this because I'm saying, hey, this is like me. I did something wrong. I learned from this, whatever. And so I don't need to provide context because it's not necessary. In this situation, from my perspective, I'm like, oh, well, this evidence is not necessary because of the fact that no one is going to dispute this. This is something that is true and no one will dispute this. Therefore, why do I need to provide evidence when I'm just showing, these pictures on screen or whatever and moving on from it because I'm making a joke about the fact that, hey, don't throw stones in a glass house. Your company did very bad things and you're trying to critique me for my designs.
Your video.
I didn't say what stuff.
Any of what you just said to me just then you did not say in your video. And you already agreed with me earlier on how the framing from going from the small personal business to a massive corporation frames it
I think that's a fair critique, Tubbo. I think that your critique of saying that my wording on Tommy's company is a totally fair critique. I'm happy to pin a comment and say that it's not Tommy's company, that it's a company that Tommy works with. I'm completely happy to do that. I agree with you that there probably are a subset of people that could misinterpret it and think that, oh, this is actually like Tommy's the owner of this company and is doing these things. I agree with that. Shouldn't have done that. I did not think of it from that angle. I thought of it from the angle of, hey, this is a big merch company. We're also showing all these other creators. I don't think people are going to assume that this is Tommy's merch company that works with all these different creators that CoffeeZilla made a video on, whatever. And so I understand what you're saying. I agree with that. I can do that. But at the same time, I don't agree that anything that I said was dishonest or definitely not trying to be dishonest, and 100% in my mind everything that I said was factually true based on what I know and based on things that you said as well. But I am, like I said, I'm happy to pin a comment that includes that and anything else. But
I don't think it hurts because you understand how it's framed, and
I see how some people could interpret it like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not. I don't think that based on the comments that I've seen and based on the interpretations that I've seen.
You can also remove the incorrect context using the YouTube editor as well.
I don't think it's incorrect context though. I think that I think that unless I can put something, I can put text on screen or something maybe, but I think that the difference is Tommy's merch company versus a merch company Tommy works with. They mean the same things. It's just that one is more clear and the other is not as clear. And I should have been more clear, especially with something that sensitive, obviously.
Yeah, not just sensitive, illegal, man. Like,
yeah, an illegal thing that this company also was involved with.
I must admit, I'm not right. Next thing about this company, I wasn't a fan of you using my leaked invoices in your video.
So I didn't. That's from CoffeeZilla's video.
Yeah, I know, and I wasn't a fan of CoffeeZilla's video using my leaked invoices. But I'm not exactly gonna message CoffeeZilla and be like.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I literally, it's terrible that it's a coincidence, but like I literally just picked a random part of the video that had any like financial stuff on the screen to show when I was talking about like creators being scammed. So
see, I feel like
I didn't know they were your invoices either.
No, but the crazy thing is though, is that the fact that you can now admit, oh, I had no idea those were invoices after you've just previously claimed you have such a good understanding of the situation is crazy. Because
I didn't even read the invoices. I didn't read the invoices at all. I'm showing
then why are you showing evidence you don't understand?
It's not evidence. It's just backdrop. I'm not showing my face. It's backdrop of CoffeeZilla's video. That's it. I'm not using that. It's not meant to provide proof of anything.
Yes, it is.
CoffeeZilla's video is the proof.
You showed this after you were going merch companies scamming creators that uses child labor, and then you showed these graphics which are related to that situation.
Yeah,
how is that not evidence?
It's graphics from CoffeeZilla's video, and CoffeeZilla's video was evidence that this company did these things. So I didn't know the specific context to what these invoices, who these invoices were for, because I just took a clip from CoffeeZilla's video, which was the evidence to these claims to provide context to. Yeah, and then I also showed some 10 seconds or so of what's it called of CoffeeZilla's video where he talked about it. So like it was just to provide context to, hey, this is from these claims are from CoffeeZilla's video.
Feel like if you had an in-depth understanding of the situation, as you said, you would have known these were my invoices, as every other creator in this situation knows these are my invoices.
Tubbo, I didn't even know that invoices were on the screen. I grabbed a financial clip from a 20-minute long video that looked good for a backdrop because I'm not showing my face. That's literally it. It wasn't meant to be evidence in any way. I don't know.
It's your responsibility to pay very close attention to what you put in your video when you edited it yourself?
But what's the negative of showing that? Like what is that? What how is that? I don't understand. Other than that,
you're using invoices that I paid, which are of massive amounts of money, okay? And you're presenting them in a way which is like, they scammed a bunch of creators out of a bunch of money, and then you're showing my invoices with massive amount of money that the viewer is going to assume was scammed from creators when it was just invoices I paid.
No, I guess I'll give more context. First of all, the reason CoffeeZilla showed those in his video, as far as I know, is because he was providing context that this company had a spending problem, right? That's why, as far as I know, that's what he was showing. He was showing, hey, this company had a spending problem. They were going around and throwing money around and spending money on this and that, and they ran out of money, essentially. And so that's the context of why they were showing them. And I was just going for the exact same thing. I'm just, hey, this is some context from CoffeeZilla's video that is, that is visually pleasing that I'm putting in this instance. It wasn't meant as evidence because the evidence is CoffeeZilla's video, which I mention obviously and say CoffeeZilla proved this in the video. So I obviously I'm sorry if you didn't want the invoices out there. I had no idea because they were already in CoffeeZilla's video. I didn't know.
No, of course. Exactly. That is my point. You didn't know, but yet you're still speaking about this and putting this on your YouTube channel with 32 million people. And you just said yourself you didn't know. So how much more about this situation do you not know? That's my point. That's my point.
That's a very open, what do you not know?
No, I don't know. You're focusing on what I'm saying and you're not hearing me, man.
No, but Tubbo, I think that the disconnect on this is that you think that the invoices shown are important to the point I was making or at all involved with them. It wasn't. No, it's literally,
but it's about the situation I could have replaced that with any other clip from his video. It's about the situation you are talking about. If all of your knowledge of the situation comes from the CoffeeZilla video, I don't think you should have jabbed at Tom about it because you don't know what's going on.
No, not all my knowledge comes from the CoffeeZilla video, but the CoffeeZilla video does prove that that company scammed creators, scammed fans, and had a lot of other illicit things going on. And those are the claims that while I am showing those clips from CoffeeZilla's video, those are the claims that I make. Those are, in my mind, again, something that people can go and watch that video themselves very easily and see all the context to. And so even though it's not the proof, it's not the direct proof, it is the direct proof. It's, hey, this video is, if you want to go get proof, I don't need to provide my own personal context. Here's a video that's very public that proves these things that I'm saying, right. It's not, I'm not trying to I didn't mean the invoices as hey, the invoices are evidence that this happened. It was hey, this is a part of evidence that CoffeeZilla used in his video and it's visually good for this part, fits in. So it was, I could have replaced that with anything else from his video pretty much and it would have had the same effect.
But what I don't understand is that if you admit you didn't know these were my invoices and you admit there's stuff about this situation that you don't know about, why would you talk about it when there's stuff that you don't know about it, when that's exactly what you do when you critique other people for talking about situations where they don't have the full picture? Because that is exactly what you've done here. Evidenced by you saying you didn't know that these were my invoices when everyone involved in the situation did.
I didn't even read the invoices. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea what the invoices are specifically for. I have no idea. But how is that in my mind? This is what I'm saying is I feel like that's not a fair critique because we both agree that the company scammed fans. We both agree the company scammed creators. While I'm showing those clips with a video from CoffeeZilla that proved those things that I just said, I am showing those clips while I make those claims. So you agree that the claims I make are true, and you agree that the video I'm using to make those claims as proof is proof of those claims.
But you're demonstrating to me how you don't have a full picture of the situation.
I'm sure I don't have a 100% full picture situation. I'm sure the only people that do probably are you and a couple other very close creators. But I do know, obviously I've interacted a lot with the creators that have worked with this company. I interacted with the people that ran that company. I run a merch company myself, so I obviously do have additional context that the public doesn't have. But I definitely do not have anywhere near as much as you do. And I'm not claiming to. I'm just saying this company has done these things that are very public and
I know, but can you not see how it's an issue where if you know you don't have the full context and you're painting it in an accusatory way as a dig when you don't know and you haven't shown any proof, right?
Tubbo, I don't agree with you here. I don't think we're going to agree on this because I provided in my mind, I provided the necessary context to the fact that this company scammed creators. This company, scammed fans. This company did a lot of illicit things, and I mentioned the video by name as well. This is not disputed information. This company has used child labor. This is not disputed information. It is a common practice amongst many merch companies, especially that work in particular regions, to use child labor. And this company has been involved in that. And that, in my mind, is completely enough context and makes me comfortable enough and perfectly comfortable to say, hey, this company scams, this company uses child labor, this company scams creators and fans.
But your viewer doesn't have any of that context. Because you didn't say any of what you just said to me in the video.
I feel like I'm lost because I don't think that in a case where something is proven elsewhere and is something that is true and is something that is not going to be disputed, I think it's fine in that case to not provide the evidence in the exact video that you're saying, making the claim.
Where is the proof of child labor? Where? Just anywhere? Because I didn't see that in the CoffeeZilla video that you're referencing.
Yeah, the CoffeeZilla video isn't about child labor. Obviously, that's from my own personal experience. And you, again, I don't feel the need to go into more detail, given you have confirmed yourself that this company has used child labor. I'm not, Tubbo, if you'd like to talk more off camera about this another time, I'm happy to. But it's not something that, just like you don't want to talk about certain things, this is about business. This is about like interpersonal relationships, etc. This is about conversations I've had with other creators. So this is something that is not something I'm willing to bring up on live stream, and I did not feel the need to say in my video because it's not a disputed claim. It's a claim that is it's a known thing. It's something that it's known. And also, again, you've said in this live stream that it's happened, but I feel like we're getting hung. I feel like, honestly, we're both nitpicking, kind of like we're both nitpicking each other almost. I feel like it's valid. It's valid to you being upset that my wording of Tommy's merch company, after having said my merch company, when my merch company meant literally my merch company that I owned, and Tommy's merch company did not mean Tommy's merch company that he owns. That's a completely fair critique. I can make a clarifying comment. That seems fair. Or I can put a clarifying text on the screen or something. That seems completely fair. I don't think that devalues anything that I said, but I do think that the less people that could be confused or misunderstand something that I'm saying, the better. So I'd rather have less people confused than more. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't particularly have anything more to say. Also, I will say, I already said what I said about the altered frames from CoffeeZilla's video. Next up, dude. So, this is also weird. So, I'm not talking about the merch company anymore, but to go immediately from child labor to then referencing editor sweatshop, what?
Yeah, I could see. I use the phrase editor sweatshop because that is a very extremely common phrase used by editors to talk about being like underpaid and overworked.
I asked every single one of Tom's editors in my stream. If you watched it the other day, they were in chat and they had not heard this phrase. I don't think it's as common as you think it is.
It's pretty common from my personal experience. Something that at least definitely locally and with editors that I've spoken to, it is something saying, oh, he's got us in an editor sweatshop. Not necessarily about Tommy in this instance, but I'm just saying it is a phrase that is used by editors to describe that. But I understand. Not everyone, But I think that for the editors section, I don't know. You can start. I have more to say, but you can start.
Well, basically, you show some screenshots, which are about Jack when talking about Tom's editors. Okay, cool. You might be like, how do you know they're about Jack? You showed your Premiere timeline where it's called jacklowpay.jpg. And
yeah, so I have on the screen, when I show those screenshots, I have a quote. It's in big bold text, and it says these screenshots are about his friends with big hearts. So those screenshots were about Jack, and I made it clear they're about Jack by putting big bold text that says these screenshots are about his friends, not about him. But yeah, I wasn't trying to take out of context that it was,
yeah, but also but why aren't you you just said Tom runs an editing sweatshop. Why are you now talking about his friends?
I think that's a valid point. I think obviously a lot of the...
Why did you start with that instead of the criticism of actually Tom?
I'm sorry, I missed...
Well, why'd you start with talking about his friends instead of criticizing actually Tom?
Well, it was just the first two screenshots that were shown. I think that obviously I didn't talk about this for very long, so there wasn't much like airtime regardless. But I don't know why I picked the order that I did to show the screenshots. They're just
yeah.
Screenshots,
and also, I feel it's quite disingenuous that when you are quoting Tom's jobs about like you said, like getting TommyInnit stands to do rough cuts for him or something, you cropped out where in that exact strain of messages it says, but he doesn't.
So I think I talked about this on Reddit, but I think that there's a couple important things. So one, the message he says in the message that I showed, he says thinking, right? So if you're thinking about doing something, have you done it? You haven't, right? If you're thinking about doing something, you haven't done it. So first of all, I thought that was enough context. Secondly, the message that follows where he said, but didn't do it is, but it'd be cool. But it'd be cool. That's the message that follows it.
Yeah, but
so
Tom
if I had had the entire screenshot where it says he didn't and then it goes, but it'd be cool, that's the context in my personal opinion is exactly the same.
But Tom didn't say that though, is the issue.
Tom didn't say what?
But it would be cool. And you don't
No, Tom didn't say that. I'm saying that Larry, or I think, I don't have the screenshots pulled up. I think it was Larry that said that. Larry said, but it'd be cool. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, and again, this critique also, again, I said this in Reddit, but I also understand how this can be, people can take it. I think that, I'll say this. I think that this section, I made a misstep on. The way that I phrased things in this section was
also the way you crop the screenshots as well is very crazy.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that the context there with what you just said, I mean, he says thinking in my screenshot. So the fact that he's thinking about it, obviously those screenshots were not meant to be, hey, this is 100% hard evidence that this has happened. Those screenshots were meant to be context to provide proof that what I'm saying has credence, right? If Tommy's editors are in a group chat with other people and are discussing doing this, right? Then that gives credence to my claim that I have firsthand accounts from multiple editors saying that this has happened.
And why didn't you put in any of those firsthand accounts?
Because nobody wants to lose work. Nobody wants to lose jobs. Nobody wants to hurt their future opportunities.
Got any proof of any of them saying they don't want to be included because of that?
But what, like a blurred name? That's really going to convince you? I'm going to show you like a empty screenshot of somebody, like a blurred out name, just text saying, hey, I don't want to be included in the video. Okay, I'll ask this, Tubbo. Where do you think that I got those screenshots? I'm not in that group chat. Where do you think I got the screenshots? I got sent them from an editor and multiple editors that are in that group chat full of editors, right? So those editors clearly, the fact that I had those screenshots is proof that I have contact with editors that are in that Discord, had issues, and sent me those screenshots, right? Can we agree that that's
right? So you have
yes. So this is the issue is I think that my framing was poor for this section. I think that the way that I intended the point I was intending to make was very similar to the merch point, right? The point was, hey, yeah, you're saying I put so much effort into my content, or I put out, this and that. You may be able to get videos out quickly, but that's because you have less to do with the process. Because you have less to do with the process, that can cause problems. Just like with the merch, where it's like, yeah, you're able to do really cool merch, but
why are you criticizing Tom for a bunch of actions he had no part in? This is what I don't understand. Really, like your own words.
I'm not sure what you mean.
You're criticizing him for the actions of his merch company, and then you're criticizing him for the actions of his editors.
Yeah, so
and you've made no critique of him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm critiquing Tubbo. I'm critiquing his critique of me. I'm not critiquing him. I'm saying, hey, yeah, Tommy, really, you're going to critique me on this? Well, this. Hey, Tommy, you're going to critique me on this? Well, this. I'm not critiquing. I'm not saying. I mean, that's why I think that. I made a misstep in that section of the video by the way that I phrased things, because I made them. It makes it seem a lot worse than what I intended. I did not intend for it to be.
You think?
Oh, yeah. I do think it made it.
You can amend it by cutting it out with YouTube editor.
I think that I can. I'm not sure how I can. Yeah, I'm not sure how I can change, because the problem is it's a problem with my wording on the first sentence I say. That's it, because it implies that all of his editors are getting paid poorly, when that was not the implication that was not what I meant, and that's not.
Every editor came out on Twitter and was like, actually, I'm paid very well, and he's been very wonderful to work with.
And that's awesome. I love hearing that. That's amazing. I love that that's the case. I think that obviously even after my video came out, there's been, threads brought up from, 2022 where channel managers of his had issues with low pay in relation to editing, and the exact same similar.
Do you have an example of that, or are you just going to say that?
Sure. Let me pull up Tommy resolved it in public. In private. I can send you I don't know where the thread is. I don't know if somebody can pull it up, but
also, if it was solved, doesn't that kind of like prove the opposite of your point? If it is, or if like that kind of behavior has already been proven to be resolved. And
well, no, I'm saying that's one specific instance. I didn't even know that. I did not know of that instance that was talked about on Twitter until after the video. I'm talking about something different. But also, again, what I'm talking about is from a while ago. That's why I said at one point, which obviously implies that it's not happening right this second. But I mean, I'll send you here. I'll send you this. This is.
I've got it up. Don't worry, man.
Okay, well, I sent it just in case. But yeah, so I mean, this did happen, obviously, and this was a different instance, and I didn't know about this one, but I believe they're probably very similar situations. So my critique again is not. It is technically on Tommy, but it's not on Tommy. It's saying, hey, you're critiquing me for doing things my way, where, hey, here's some problems you run into if you do things your way, essentially. So it's like, I'm not making the point that I think that Tommy is a terrible person, that, whatever, but I do think that the phrasing makes it seem like I'm saying, hey, literally Tommy never pays any of his editors, and he sucks completely as a boss, whereas I was trying to make the point that, hey, me and Tommy do things differently. He's acting like his way of doing things is better. I know of some things that went badly because of the way that he's done things. Even if, as an example, the merch, he obviously didn't purposely work with a company that scams, and with the editors, as far as I know, he didn't purposely go work with stands. But I do know of instances where stands assisted editing videos that were on Tommy's platforms for free or very low pay, and they were outsourced by editors.
But and so from my provided any proof of that, because all the proof in your video, people have come out and be like, actually, that's not the case. So I feel like you just got to cut that whole section out of your video because it's dishonest. That is genuinely my take.
Yeah, I don't think it's dishonest. I think that
but
again,
you just said yourself. You just said you agree with me.
No, I agree with you that the phrasing when I jump into it, it makes it seem like the way that I phrase the sentence, I say something along the lines of Tommy. What did I say? Something along the lines of like Tommy can crank out videos because at one point he had an editing sweatshop where editors were getting paid less than minimum wage, and that whole entire statement is true. But
you can't prove it, so therefore to say it without proof is dishonest.
Okay, so first of all, do you feel that way about Tommy's video?
Huh? Mate, it's different, okay? And yes, you're gonna say I have bias, and yes, you can clearly see my bias, but to say he's got an editor sweatshop immediately after talking about his merch being made with child labor, can you not see how insane this is?
I think that the phrasing going into that, I 100% regret using editor sweatshop as a term, because I was looking at it as, hey, this is a common phrase in the editing community. This is not like, I can see how right after showing an actual sweatshop that could be misconstrued as that. That's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. But I think that the evidence that I was providing was not meant to be 100% proof that what I was claiming had happened. It was meant to provide context to these claims, because I cannot provide full evidence without compromising the people that provide me with the evidence. Obviously, given the fact that I have these screenshots, I have contact with people that are in these group chats and have been given firsthand accounts of this happening. So I'm confident enough to make this claim, and the only evidence that I have to help assist that publicly, that I'm able to put out publicly, was obviously the editors discussing this, discussing doing this. That's not evidence of them having done it, but that's evidence that they were discussing doing it, and then gives my claim that they did do it, or maybe not these specific editors, but that it has happened before, more credence. And obviously I've had firsthand accounts, and I'm glad to hear that Tommy's main editors are paid well, and I'm sure that from after seeing the Twitter thread that you read or that you pulled up of the community manager thing that happened a couple of years ago, that I'm sure it's probably a situation like that, where people were doing things potentially without Tommy knowing that I know about. And that could totally be the case. But the problem is, can't ask Tommy because he has me blocked.
But like, you would be honest with me. Would you have asked him about that before you released that video?
100%.
He didn't have you.
100%.
Really?
100%. I would have said, hey, here, this is the information that I have. here's the information that I have. What do you have to say about it? Realistically, I've done that before, and usually the person would not reply or not give context. But I can't message Tommy. And obviously, realistically, if Tommy didn't have me blocked or was communicating, none of this there wouldn't have been these videos. So there wouldn't have been a case where I need to message him about it. I probably would have just been able to say, hey, the second I heard it, been like, hey, Tommy, I heard this thing. What? But instead, I just I don't have any communication to be able to say anything. Because it is something that, in my mind, if I was in his shoes, like I'd want to be aware of,
Yeah.
Obviously, you're just taking my word for the fact that I would do that, but also,
that's what I'm saying. Like you always go on about proof and receipts, and now you're just expecting me to take your word as is without any proof nor receipts. And I'm like, okay, so the rules are changing now.
Well, I don't think that. I think that framing as the rules are changing is not completely fair, because I think that do you think that the fact that the fact that this was a discussed topic and also something that was confirmed as other editors of not Tommy's in this same group chat to have done, and that I obviously had to have gotten this information from somewhere, and that I'm telling you that the way that I got this information was from somebody giving me firsthand accounts of this having happened, you don't think that any of that what I just said equates as proof? I don't believe
that's the case without you proving it to me is the issue.
Well, you don't believe what's the case?
I don't believe that you have these first-hand accounts.
Okay, so how did I get the screenshots?
God, dude.
No,
how on earth would I know that?
Well, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Okay, if I'm not in this group chat, and this group chat is solely of editors, right? And editors are this is a group chat of editors. How did I? Well, I was provided these screenshots by the people that provided me firsthand accounts of this having happened. So I mean, it is technically a trust basis, but that is.
Well, I'm getting messages from Tom's editors on Discord saying, "Yo, heads up, from the time I've worked with Tommy, I've never outsourced any work to any stands. We only ever outsource to other editors in the group." And this is what I'm being messaged on Discord, which I think is
that personal experience is totally valid. I mean, I think that's I'm not claiming that person is lying. It's not just because I don't know, what's a good example?
Also, I'm being told it's not a group chat. It's a Discord server with hundreds of people editing Minecraft SMP content.
Yeah, it's a Discord server. It's not I'm calling it group chat, but it's a Discord server.
So,
it's a group chat, but
like, I just really don't know what to say, to be totally honest. I find it very hard because, mate, you fried my brain a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't think it was fair for you to put that in the video, and you agree it was a misstep. You call it a misstep. I say it's
I think the way that I worded it was a mistake. I think the way that I worded it was a mistake. Initially, I think that it implies something that it implies that all of Tommy's editors are underpaid and horribly paid and horribly treated, whereas that was not the intention. The point was, well, yeah, you have had editors that have done this, and I've described it as editor sweatshop, etc.
Cut out that bit of the video.
Because the point as itself still stands. I think that nothing that I said in that...
as itself is?
The point that I was making... Yeah. The point that I was making in that section was Tommy was critiquing me for the content that I make being low quality, blah, blah, whatever. And I'm clapping back saying, yeah, well, you may put out a lot of videos very quickly because at points, the way you have a ton of editors, and therefore you have less control over what happens with those editors. And literally, some people have ended up working for minimum wage or below minimum wage, and also have outsourced stands to do sometimes captioning, sometimes editing, or rough cutting content, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's the claim in that part. And
my issue is that I don't believe you, because every source you have given, every single person involved in every screenshot you have sent has come out and said that's not the case. And you haven't provided a single bit of proof where that is the case.
Okay, the proof that you can look at that we've already talked about is three things. One, the Twitter thread that you just have already looked through, right? That is
which
evidence
is an example of the opposite.
Listen.
Okay.
What? Just listen. Just hear me out. That Twitter thread, right, is an instance of around the time frame where I have firsthand accounts of this having happened, of a similar thing happening on different platforms of Tommy. It was about a VOD manager on one of his platforms being, improperly outsourcing stuff and not paying them properly. That is already confirmed, and Tommy resolved that behind the scenes. That's around the same time. That's one.
But the evidence of
Second
him
thing,
resolving that and having that be resolved proves the exact opposite thing that you're saying. Surely. How? Because he's been in this situation and has entirely resolved it, and the initial people that put out that stuff have said this is all resolved, and then you've gone, no, actually, it's still happening.
No, this is. I'm talking about first of all, I'm talking about a different instance. Second of all, all I'm saying is that is supporting evidence that it's not crazy that this could have happened, right? And then
could have, but there's no proof.
No, I'm saying from your Tubbo, I'm saying from your perspective. From my perspective, I have firsthand accounts from editors that have literally expressly stated exactly what I said in my video. Literally expressly stated. I got those screenshots from editors that are in that Discord, right? So I'm not in that Discord. How did I get that evidence? Obviously from people that were telling me what was said, right? So I'm saying outside of that and without compromising people or making people, hurting people's future job opportunities, that doesn't seem unlikely that if they were discussing doing this, said, yeah, that'd be so cool, and that there's other instances of this happening publicly on Twitter already that got resolved in the past, that there are instances of this having happened that did not get resolved in the past. It doesn't seem unlikely, right, from your perspective. So all I'm saying is that you're obviously, it's still a trust me bro from my side of going, yeah, this is supporting evidence.
Yeah, but it's a trust
evidence.
me bro after a trust me bro. His merch was made using child labor. Like that's
I don't agree with you on that the statement you just made, but I don't think that's a trust me bro at all. It's just like that's just a fact that has happened.
Then prove it, man. Like, come on. This is the exact same expectations you ask of me for everything I say.
I feel like we've gone back and forth on that where I'm going, yeah, I did prove it. Here's the proof, and or whatever, and then we're back to the same thing. Like I feel like on this topic, this is the best thing I can say from on this specific issue. I think that I misstepped in the way that I worded things because it makes it seem more dramatic than I intended. Obviously, the point that I was attempting to make was that, hey, Tommy, yes, you can make this, the content that you make as quickly as you can make it because of the fact that you make some compromises with how much control you have over it by outsourcing things to having channel managers, editor managers, et cetera, to where things get lost and things can happen that are not so good, like what happened that he resolved and like what has happened that I have heard about. So that was my point, and that's obviously about editors, getting some pay issues and stuff getting lost in lost in the sauce, and I think that all in my mind is a valid critique, and again, it's a critique of his critique.
With the amount of missteps you said that have happened in this video, do you agree that it's fair for me to say that it's dishonest?
No, completely not at all.
So what about there being missteps makes this not a misrepresentation of the truth?
Well, nothing. The thing is, no video is going to be perfect. Nothing that you put out online is going to be perfect. When I'm having a conversation with somebody from the other, like the other side of the opinion, right? And we're having this discussion, and I'm going, oh, you know what? Because of my personal biases, I didn't think about that specific thing beforehand. I wish I had moved that word around a couple of times. That doesn't make it dishonest. That doesn't invalidate everything that I've said in the video or even close to that. All it means is that, hey, yeah, if I'm trying to be the most fair I possibly can be, the most reasonable I can be, yeah, I'd change. I wish I had said this slightly differently. I wish I had said this word differently. I wish I didn't include this. I can do that about almost any video of mine, even like, I don't know, even a manhunt or something. Like you can go through it and be like, oh yeah, I wish I had done this differently. It doesn't mean the video, it sucks or something. I think that some of the things that you have said are fair, critiques or fair requests. But I don't think that any of it is dishonest.
I don't know how you can go out there and repeatedly say how against rumors you are, and then say stuff without evidence that naturally sparks off rumors, and then just be like, that's okay.
Like what?
What do you mean? Like all of the things I've just said you haven't provided proof for over like this entire conversation, and I've gone over and over again, where's the evidence of that? Where's the evidence of that? And there's always a different reason for why you haven't shown this evidence. And I just like you as a person are so against rumors and not perpetuating
I hate rumors. I think rumors are terrible.
Exactly. And to then have so many different, not excuses, but reasons for not showing evidence.
Okay, Tubbo. So
which is going to start rumors.
Well, I feel like this is I feel like I don't think that's fair, Tubbo. Here's the difference. This is a big difference, right? If I said, "Hey, Tubbo, you're sexist," that I provide no context, no evidence, bad, in my opinion. If I said, "Hey, Tubbo, you're sexist because you called one of my friends blank," right? That, even though that is a claim that you're making with, in that case, like as an example with like Ludwig or something, where that's happening to me, I'm much more willing to have a discussion with that because that's a specific example. I'm saying, hey, this happened. I heard a firsthand account from editors of this having happened. And what's the evidence that I have a firsthand account of this happening? Well, the screenshots are the evidence because I have access to those screenshots. So in my mind, I'm going, yeah, that's far more evidence than no evidence at all. From my personal experience with people that I'm interacting with, I trust their firsthand account. And the evidence that I have firsthand accounts is the fact that the screenshots exist. So I'm going, that in itself is evidence, right? Like it's not providing no evidence. If I just said TommyInnit doesn't pay his editors at all, that's making a claim without any evidence.
Yeah, no, okay. Right. Yes.
I mean, I'm not. If you disagree, like, I want to hear why. Like,
in a sense, everything you're saying.
What's the standard of proof?
Everything you're saying is very, very reasonable. I don't understand how, when you don't like rumors, it's about people's opinions of you. When I'm talking about rumors starting, I'm talking about serious accusations you have made. Do you understand what I mean? Like when you're talking about, you don't like rumors,
they're not rumors.
You don't like the rumors. You don't like the rumors that people behind the scenes might think you're sexist. You don't like the rumors that people behind the scenes don't like how your merch looks. And yeah, hey, like, come on, you wouldn't have brought it up in the video if you didn't care about people's opinions of your merch.
Well, I thought it was a funny critique. He's like saying baby photos, whatever. I'm like, well, I mean, come on, Tommy, you're really saying that when you worked with a merch company that scammed people. Like, come on, like that's ridiculous. I don't care about him calling my merch designs. He said lazily designed. Like, I don't care about him calling that. I just think it's ironic that he's saying that whenever he has his merch company to deal with. Like, that's, in my mind, that's the humor in it. I'm like, well, yeah, it's like a, like it's ironic.
Yeah,
it's not.
But like all of these things, okay, all of those things are rumors about you. I would admit, like, the average person can be like, it's just a rumor, it has no weight. But the kind of rumors that you are risking starting by not posting proof of, now you don't agree with me, which I don't understand why. You're not posting proof of Tom's merch being made by child labor. I feel like I'm going in circles, but I feel like that is a very serious rumor that does take serious tolls on people's career. And
I feel like
if anyone understands that, though, how serious accusations can have a big impact on people's career, it's you, my friend. So I don't understand how you're not understanding what I'm saying now.
I feel like we read in circles around that. I feel like I will be repeating myself 100 times if I even discuss it anymore. That company, the company that TommyInnit worked with for his merch, not his own company, that company has, from your own admission in this stream, used child labor to make merchandise. Now, outside of that, that was not your own personal experience, was not contributing to my personal experience and my evidence.
It's your responsibility to prove a connection between that claim and Tom, which you have failed to do.
TommyInnit made his merch with this company.
But that is not proof. This is not the same. I don't understand, man. Like, child labor and Tom, where is the link?
Okay, here's the link. The merch company that Tommy worked with used child labor.
Okay.
Do you agree? Do you agree? Do you agree? Yes, you agree. Like,
but you have no
this is
proof
ridiculous.
of these unethical practices happened with his merch. You say yourself you know the merch industry. You know how many different manufacturing plants and factories one company can use, okay? And it is, going off your experience, it is so dishonest to, which I have confirmed is one instance in one plant, okay? It is so dishonest to insinuate that that is entirely tied to Tom.
Okay. Entirely tied to Tom.
Because
I know it's entirely tied to Tom.
No,
it's the whole entire merch company. Like it's the entire merch company. And I think that it's such a weird, it's such an interesting like hill to die on. Like, yes, no, this merch company that did child labor, they only did it according to my calculations, confirmed one time. Like, and that's obviously from your own personal experience. Obviously, I'm telling you, you don't have to trust me, but I'm telling you that from my own personal experience, from interactions that I've had, from conversations that I've had, that as far as I know, it wasn't just one instance.
Then
but
prove it
that's
to
my
me.
own. Yeah, but you're saying, but why when you know this has happened, do I have to prove that claim? That's like I think we disagree on the standard of proof you need for claims that you make. Like, my critique in my video, which is all 100% proven, even by your own exact statements, is, hey, TommyInnit, you worked with this merch. You're saying my merch is bad. You work with a merch company that did child labor, scam people, scam
what I
their
don't
fans.
understand is why would you not want a legitimate crime to have as much evidence as possible? That's what I don't understand. Which is why I don't understand your reluctance.
I'm really confused, Tubbo. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I'm really confused. I feel like we've talked about this. I feel like I've answered. We've said back and forth on this.
The difference is the public doesn't know. People don't know.
People don't know what.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm getting a text from my mum. I'm checking I'm not going to be sued.
Yeah, be careful.
You laugh, it's the truth.
No, be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about something else.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah. Do you want to move past the editing stuff? I'm on the firm belief that you should cut that out of the video. You disagree. You agree that it's a misstep, though. Okay, we'll move on with that. Next, we're gonna talk about your message with Tom's mum. That's the next thing you brought up.
Okay.
In the video, you say this is the only message you sent to Tom's mum, but in the stream 2 days ago, you mentioned that you messaged an additional second time. Why change the story within the 2 days?
So I saw you say that on your stream, and I was like, oh my god, because this is my perspective, right? So I messaged Tom's mom one time, right? One time, and then years later, after this was something that Tommy was already upset with, blah blah. She tweeted about that interaction, and we had an extremely cordial, I messaged her, hey, I'm sorry for messaging you back then. You know, I didn't know that that would upset you guys. Didn't mean to, etc., etc. Sorry. And she replied and said, you know, whatever. It was just like a very nice, common exchange. So when I say in the video, I had one, you know, this is the harassment. Obviously, he's not referring to me apologizing to her for having messaged her because Tommy was upset. Later on, you know, years later, he's referring to this one message. So like, I'm saying, yes, this is the only interaction I've ever had with his mom that he's saying this interaction is harassment. So yeah. I wasn't like, I don't know if that makes sense. But
do you understand do you get how, even with the context with his mum responding to your audience on Twitter, do you understand how this message still comes across as very weird?
The thing is right after, like, shortly after this message, right? Tommy expressed to me that this made him uncomfortable, right? I apologized to Tommy. I said that I was sorry. I said that I did not think about it from that perspective, right? The perspective that I thought about it from was that I was treating his mom like she was, you know, outside of TommyInnit, an individual person on her own, on Twitter, a creator, that you can copy paste that exact message if it was, I don't know, anybody else, any other creator on, you know, Twitter that was interacting with, you know, fans of mine about
anyone else. It's his mom.
You know, I know. I yeah, 100%. I understand that. That's not something I genuinely, I apologize to his mom. I apologize to him. I realized afterwards, after Tommy said something where I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I guess realistically, I wouldn't like if someone messaged my mom. That's not, you know, I wouldn't want to do that. And I apologized. I said, I'm sorry to Tommy. I'm sorry to his mom. And that was some, and I didn't, the message
that in the video.
Because Tommy is saying that I harassed his mom. So it's all about framing. Like I had this conversation with Tubbo. I mean, with Tommy. So I do it to both of you. I had this conversation with Tommy where we had already had that conversation. So when he's coming out and saying that I'm harassing his mom, the first thing I'm not going to do is accept his framing and say, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, Tommy, I harassed your mom. Like, no, I'm going to say I didn't harass your mom. I sent this one singular message. I had already apologized to Tommy and his mom for that. He didn't. Why didn't he include the fact that I apologized to his mom in his video? He didn't include that. Why not?
Because I feel like you're the one that does the overstepping. He doesn't need to swing for you. You know what I mean? If you've done the overstepping and in the wrong, the person that you wrong doesn't typically, defend you. I feel like that's fair. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's the same way the other way around. Like in this instance,
he messaged his mom. He didn't message yours. You just agreed
he said that I was wait, what?
You just agreed that you wouldn't like it if the roles were reversed.
Yeah, no, in hindsight, I recognize, I was like, yeah, that was a misstep. That's not something that I should have done. I recognize, like, I understand. Yeah, it was a misstep. It was. That's the thing is, but that's the thing, Tubbo, is like, there people that in my mind, like, if you read that message and you understand, like, this is the full context. Tommy's mom is replying to Dream Stands on Twitter, arguing about a video that was about a section of that video was about me, right? And was discussing my stutter with fans, right? Expressing her opinion. If that was as an example, I mean, it's, again, you're gonna say it's different because it's someone's mom, but if that was anyone else and they were expressing that opinion, literally all it was, hey, I don't agree with my fans that was ableist. I don't think that Tommy was being ableist. I don't think that Tommy was trying to cause harassment, but because you're expressing your opinion on the video, here's my opinion on the video. That's just my thoughts.
Is that Tommy's mom isn't really a public creator, whereas you wouldn't, if anyone else was defending Tom's video, you wouldn't respond to random Tom fans responding to your fans.
No, if it was a creator, then I totally would. But yeah, you're right. If it was just, I was treating
a creator
100%, and that's where the like mistake in my mind was I was treating and viewing Tommy's mom as like her own. I was not in connection to Tommy. I was viewing her as her own individual, like just with her own platform, with her own followers, and replying to people. It's like that was my view, and that's where I made the mistake. Like that's what caused me to make the misstep. Was me having that frame of mind made me think, oh, okay, I'm just going to express my opinion. Surely she'd want to hear it because she's talking about this video as well, and she'd want to hear my thoughts because it's about me. That was my personal thoughts. And then after, obviously, when Tommy was upset about it, and obviously, like you said, Tommy and I had already, we were not like friendly at this point. So after Tommy expressed that was weird, or that that was crossing his boundaries, I apologized and said, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about it like that. I completely understand. I shouldn't have done that. I accept that. Like, that's not something I should have done. I don't remember the exact message I sent, but it was, I didn't, sorry?
Why didn't you include that in your video?
Again, I think it's all about the framing. It's all about the framing. He said I harassed her. Do you think that okay, one, do you think that I harassed her?
Not firsthand. I don't.
Okay. And do you think that I intended to like harass her or like, I don't know, like attack her or something? Like,
I think it's a very weird thing to do. And I think it's very weird that you didn't see that this is a massive overstep of anyone's boundaries. And it's not a unique thing to Tom. I think, obviously, I don't think one message is harassment. That's silly. But what I do think is, since your videos come out, I don't know if you've seen any of Tom's mum's tweets.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
I know.
I
thought you would. Yes. And I know you wouldn't condone that behavior. But
fuck all of you people that would do anything like that. I don't want you in my audience. I don't want you as a subscriber. I don't want you as a follower. I don't want anything from you. Fuck off. Delete all of your social media and go get fucking therapy. You suck. You're terrible.
I've heard that one before. Yeah. No, sorry. You didn't laugh. Oh, okay. I'll stew in my own silence. Okay. I'll go fuck myself. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. I feel like also, you talk about framing a lot. I think the framing, while we're talking about framing in your video of saying this is the only message I sent her, makes Tom's claims seem more unreasonable when in fact there was more than one that you just didn't mention. Is that fair?
I don't think that's fair just because when he says harassment, well, Tubbo, listen, when he says harassment, he's clearly not talking about the message a year and a half later when I apologized to her and we have a very nice exchange with each other. He's clearly talking about that one message. Like, obviously he's not talking about the other message
even
where
if you have a nice exchange, it doesn't necessarily mean she wants to speak to you. Do you know what I mean?
I think that that's fair, but literally my only message was saying I'm sorry. That's it. So I think that if I include, like, I think that for framing purposes, if I had included that in my video, it would not have changed. It would have, I mean, I guess in my perspective, like, it would have only done, like you're saying, it only would have done better for me if I was saying, oh, I sent her this one message, and then the only other message I've ever sent her is literally an apology for doing this. And Tommy failed to mention that. It would have had the exact same, like, you know, like I didn't choose to say one to, like, as like a lie or something. I said this one message because that's what the harassment was supposed to be, was this one message that Tommy obviously was upset with enough to say that I was a movie villain or whatever. And so that was, from my perspective, that was why it was, like, frustrating. Obviously you saying, yeah, clearly one message doesn't constitute harassment was like, yeah. And so it's obviously very frustrating. Like, if Tommy, I think a lot of it is framing. Like, I think obviously, I don't think Tommy was doing it in a malicious way. I think that he was upset. I genuinely think that Tommy was upset, and I think he has a lot of valid reasons to be upset. And I think that when he was discussing that specifically, obviously he was probably emotional. He brought up, you know, his parents' divorce, which is terrible, and I'm so sorry that that's something that, you know, he was going through and that his parents were going through. But I didn't know about that, and I think that the way that he framed it was unfair to me. I think if he had said, you messaged my mom, that was crossing a boundary, you know, even though you apologize, I don't accept your apology, you know, whatever, that's much more, like, fair. And then my response to that is very different, right? And the same thing happens with a lot of the stuff he says. If he says it in a slightly different way where he's not, like, exaggerating to, like, it did, the video made me seem like this terrible villain that's, like, I don't know, doing all these terrible things. And then when you break it down, I'll go, well, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this was a misunderstanding, this shouldn't have happened, or yeah, I made a mistake there. But it's like normal human mistakes and normal human interactions and you know, growth and whatever, that's made out to be this, like, horrible comic book villain behavior. And that, I think that's, like, I think that's the problem with it all. And I think it's not Tommy's problem, it's like the internet's problem. Like, the internet dramatizes everything, and it like sucks. Like, it sucks.
Dude, I'm gonna say I think this one example is a bad example of the internet dramatizing everyone, because, like, let's be clear, you did text his mum while you guys had fallen out. That is weird, and you've acknowledged it's weird, and you wouldn't like it if it happened to you. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, but I did not harass his mom while she was going through a divorce, and I'm not a proper movie villain. Like, those are Tommy's words, right? Like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing with Tommy. The way that he said it in that video is, in my personal opinion, dishonest. And I don't think that he was being intentionally dishonest. I think that he was just emotional.
How
but
is
in my opinion,
that
it's dishonest.
But all the missteps you've described aren't dishonest.
Because you're saying, that's actually a good point, Tubbo. That's actually a really good point.
Thanks.
I think that, yeah, I think that, I guess if I think that his intentions were not to be dishonest, which I don't think his intentions were to be dishonest. I think that his intentions were that he was emotional, and that it was, you know, obviously that was an emotional time for him, and it was there's a lot obviously that he's letting out. If I think that, and I think this, and I apply that same line of thinking to my, you know, my thought process, which is why obviously I'm giving myself that benefit out. I guess I don't think it's dishonest. I think that it's a misstep. I'll say that. I think that you've changed my opinion.
Given that misstep, would you like him to remove that from his video?
I mean, I think that what's done is done. I think that if he'd like to, you know, comment or something, or say, you know, the same thing that I'm doing for mine, I think that's fair. I think that if Tommy has specific problems with my video, if he'd like to, through you, or, you know, if he doesn't want to contact me himself, through you, he would like to let me know about that and what he would like me to do, then that's fair. I'd have a conversation with Tommy, and I think that there are many things in his video that obviously I have a similar problem with, like with the harassment stuff. But the problem is that I feel like what's done is done. Everything's out there. I think that...
Sorry to interrupt. If your attitude is what's done is done, why at the end of your video did you then ask Tom to delete every video that you're in? If what's done is done.
Well, I think that's what's done is done. And I think that in my mind, I personally feel very upset about the videos with my sister, the videos with my mom, and not the other videos. Like, I care a lot less about those videos. I care about because there's no content. My mom has never appeared in anybody's content. My sister has never appeared in anybody's content. Only one video with Sapnap or something, and one, and then a bunch of videos with Tommy. And he's sitting here saying I'm harassing his mom and I'm this horrible movie villain while having intimate videos up. And I don't mean intimate in a weird way. I mean intimate in like a, personal, close connection way, where I had that close connection with my sister while my sister is sitting here texting me saying, why is Tommy lying about you? So on and so forth. I don't like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable and makes me upset that someone would say that while having that content up. So to me, I say what's done is done. But I say that if you genuinely feel that way, I just really think that Tommy is upset. Tommy has valid reasons to be upset, but also has a lot of the stuff that he said in his video, I believe, are out of emotion and that he doesn't completely mean them. And I think that if he actually truly means the things that he's saying, then yes, he should 100%, out of morals, but also out of the fact that I feel this way, remove those videos at absolute bare minimum. But in my opinion, obviously me saying, yeah, why would it's me for the rest of the videos, it's me making a point. It's me saying, you think I'm this terrible person, but you're willing to make money and views and subscribers off of videos where people are going to watch that and think we're like buddy, and that might influence them to subscribe.
Those videos are like 3 years old now, no?
Yeah, I mean, there's still obviously videos on his channel that will garner new views and have new subscribers that will watch them, and think like, oh, hey, Dream likes Tommy and Dream supporting Tommy, and this is, Dream. Every video that I post will boost those videos, right? And my fans will see them, and my fans will not know the history between this and not know that he's saying these slanderous things about me, and that I don't like. That's the problem, is like, I don't want that. So I'm fine. That's the difference. Is genuinely, if Tommy wants to have a one-on-one conversation, I have always been open. I've tweeted about it all the time. For any creator, I will be open. I would always be down. I would love to have a conversation. I would love to. And the same thing if he has issues with things I said in my video or whatever. We didn't even have a single phone call about the whole mom issue. We didn't have a single phone call about the USMP stuff.
Like
we never.
fair, though. The mom
Yeah, no,
issue.
I'm not saying it's not fair, but I'm saying obviously
my mom. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm saying that obviously, I don't think communication almost ever. I guess from my perspective, I'm the type of person. Communication, I feel like, is never bad. It's almost never bad. Like if you can communicate with someone, then you should generally, especially when
communication is also a privilege. You know what I mean? And when you do things that damage your reputation of trust with people, you lose that privilege to the communication you're asking for.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's valid. I think that from my perspective, that I genuinely don't think that Tommy was unfair in his response to that. Like, I don't think that his reaction to that was unfair. I never critiqued him for that. I mean, obviously, ever since then, obviously, I haven't said anything to him privately, like in a negative manner. I congratulated him when he hit 15 million subscribers. I don't have a problem with the way that I don't have a problem that he was upset that I messaged his mom. That's not. I apologize for that. I messaged him privately. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that. I'm saying obviously before these interactions, and obviously the way that he's the things that have been brewing amongst that group of the Brighton crew for a while. It's like I had a phone call with Jack recently, and obviously he didn't.
All Jack told me of that phone call is you guys were just like, yeah, we don't like each other. Let's move on. You know what I mean? That's all I heard.
I mean, it was honestly, it was a good conversation, even though, yeah, he didn't agree with me on some of what I was saying or a lot of what I was saying, but we had, it was a very mature and like good conversation. We talked for, I don't know how long. I think it was like an hour or something. And we had, it was a good conversation. I feel like that's valuable just because I left that conversation feeling more positive towards Jack than I did going into it, right? And I left that conversation.
How could that be true if on your stream, peace over it, on your stream 2 days ago, you say Jack Manifold, there's a rumor you're unfaithful. Oh, come on, man. Oh, come on, man.
I left that call. Okay, Tommy, what the difference is before I had left that call, I wouldn't have said there's a rumor you're unfaithful, right? I would have said, hey, I have firsthand account that you're unfaithful, right? But after that phone call, I went, oh, you know what? Based on what Jack expressed, where literally was just him saying, hey, that's not true. Obviously he didn't provide me any receipts or anything, but I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll think not of that. But
Jack's in my chat right now. What did he say? He said, "We discussed rumors about you too, Big Man." Oh, he's joshing. He's joshing. He's not being. I thought he had a serious message because it was longer than the normal manifold message I get. It was not. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that communication is important, I guess, and I think that you know, I'm open to communicate with anybody. And I guess I'll just say kind of again that I'm always open to have conversations. I feel like I'm an open book, and I enjoy. I communicate very weirdly, especially from messages. Like I'm not a good communicator, and I feel like I want to try, and I always try and have, you know, phone calls with people when I can, and reach out and tell people, hey, I'm open to phone calls, make my DMs open, so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I feel like I guess that was the.
That's fair. I feel like also, speaking of what I just said, on your stream 2 days ago, what are the rumors about me? Can I ask? Because you did say there's serious rumors about me.
Okay, so first of all, I also said there's rumors about Skeppy and other people, and that I'm just like saying that as like, oh look, there's rumors about you.
But you also said I'm a bad guy behind the scenes.
No, that was me making a point. That was the same thing as like me saying the whole racist thing for Tommy. It's like, oh, he's racist, whatever.
Right.
But there was also what originally was like. Never mind. It's not important.
Will you text it to me so I can decide?
It's not important. It's really not important,
not?
Tubbo. It's really not important.
So, why are you doing this?
I just said that. That's it.
Okay, about what? Because that's very broad what you just sent me. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
It really is not important.
Yeah, it's not important. I promise you.
Yeah. Dude. What do we even do now?
I don't know. I genuinely, I have a lot of respect for you, Tubbo, and thank you a lot for just having me on. I know we don't agree on a lot of stuff, and we still don't. And I feel like, you know, obviously, regardless, I just feel like this call was, even if the only thing to gain from it is that you can discuss with someone, even if you disagree with them on a lot of things, or even if you don't, you know, you're not.
Oh, can I talk about something I said on stream 2 days ago? Because I know your audience was quite upset at me for saying it, and I feel like I should say it while you're also here to talk about it. On stream the other day, I said, you've made a lot of money off Pride merch while keeping your sexuality ambiguous. What I meant by that is that I believe that for you 2 days ago to go on your stream and say, I'm not gay, while having this very on-screen fictitious gay relationship with George, and then releasing Pride merch and using the shopping domain dnf.gay, I think is weird, and I wanted to ask you about it.
So what I think a lot, this is the same thing that I've said literally since the beginning of time, or since every time I've ever been asked about it, that I'm not gay. I've been in relationships with women. I'm not gay, right? Outside of that, I have refused to talk further about my sexuality.
That's fair.
I feel like there's more nuance than just, hey, you're not gay, therefore clearly you're straight. Like, I feel like
that's not what I'm saying.
Fair.
I'm just saying that if you so openly say you're not gay, and you've always said that, why use this fictitious relationship with your best friend to link to your merch?
I mean, I don't even know. I literally don't even know dnf.gay. Like, that's not my domain. I don't know. Is it George's merch? George's thing?
Yeah, but like, you also do release like Pride merchandise.
Yeah, I've done Pride merch with profits going to what?
10% went to charity. You would have still made a lot of personal money off of that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've given donated a lot. I think we donated a lot more than 10% actually, because we did I don't remember I think we did a set amount or something for one of the drops. We didn't, and like with 10% up to that amount or something, we didn't get up to that amount. So we ended up doing a lot more than 10%. But I don't remember the specifics of every single drop, but I've always tried to, I've done live streams and done stuff promoting a lot of different. I'm sorry.
The Trevor Project was the charity you did.
Yeah, and also worked with them behind the scenes and stuff on many different things. So I always want to show support. So I'm not.
Yeah. So like
I'm not using my own.
You're not gay, but you are part of the queer community.
I'm not sure what the definition. Like, I'm not sure what the definition of that is. I think. I mean, I assume I am queer. Queer is.
What do you mean? Sorry, do you need me to?
I think that there is a spectrum, and I think that when I say I'm not gay, I literally mean I'm not only attracted to males. I have been in relationships.
Yeah, but that spectrum you're mentioning is like the spectrum of how queer an individual is. That's what I'm on about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fine then. Then I don't really have any gripe with the Pride merch stuff. Like, I have my own personal thoughts, but it doesn't need to be said because it's not like.
Okay, well, George, as far as I know, isn't queer, so go cancel him, please, for having his doing his merch.
Hey, I'll say it. That's weird. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's basically. I mean, I don't really have anything to say. You've said your bit. I'm not going to dig into your private life, man. Like, let's be so real. That was the most digging I probably felt comfortable doing. I wasn't going to go any deeper. I will say
I got a little uncomfortable there, but I think it's very
that
valid
wasn't
and
my
very
intention.
fair.
But
That's
I'm like,
fine. I understand.
Given you released Pride merch and made money off it, I assumed you would be comfortable talking about it on stream, and I'm sorry if that wasn't the case.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I also want to say, what was the weird quote at the end of the video? You don't need to put other people down to lift yourself up. Why? Why say that?
Yeah, I think that in hindsight, I shouldn't have said that just because it seems like preachy. Like but I didn't. I more meant it as like I know this sounds like stupid, but I meant it in a genuine way of like because Tommy's been doing obviously a lot of like he's done a lot of like he's been on like you said, he's been on like his shit slinging arc, right?
Yeah.
And so I meant in a way of like, look, Tommy, you're super talented. You don't need to sling shit to get attention. You can get attention with your own
but it's just a very
content.
weird thing to say after this whole thing started with that meme you made.
Yeah, and I did think I don't remember if it was you or I saw somebody's
I said that. I was like,
that's
what?
Yeah. I think that's valid. I think it looks in context. It looks kind of stupid. So. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely meant it as just like, look, you don't need to sling shit. You are talented. You can get attention get a ton of attention without doing that because you're talented. But also, it does seem backhanded because obviously I'm like critiquing him and saying negative things in the video. But I think that just like in this conversation,
it feels a little bit. I'll say how it felt to me. I was watching the video, and I was like, okay, he's made a lot of criticism. And when you said that out here, I was like, wait, this speaks volumes to almost how like you see yourself above everyone else on a higher platform. It felt very talk downy.
Yeah, it does feel very preachy, like which it wasn't my intention. And so like, yeah, I agree. I think it feels preachy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey.
I think it feels preachy.
We agree. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, we finally agree on something. There we go. We got it.
Hey, we agreed on at least
on a lot of stuff.
6 things this stream. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm losing my voice. This is crazy.
No, sorry. I realized I have just sat here and like listened to you, so I have just let you run your mouth for like, which is good, by the way, not in a negative way.
I appreciate it.
I wanted to actually ask you things about what you're saying in real time.
No. Well, I mean, if you again, I'll just extend the olive branch that again, if you have in the future, again, I feel like I don't bite. Like I'm very. I'm open to talking, answering questions, whatever. So if you ever have any problems or concerns or even just questions, feel free to message me. But otherwise, thanks for having me on. And
totally.
I appreciate
I
appreciate you also talking to me out genuinely. It's really.
I really hope that first of all, I made it very clear before the stream, I wanted my community to not be on an attack footing. And I'd hope that you'd share that same sentiment with yours.
Oh, of course. Tubbo's been great. Tubbo's been extremely fair, I feel like, and he's been, you know, especially even in the past, and he's been someone that's been, I think, has treated me very fairly. So I appreciate it, and I think that definitely, I mean, even if he wasn't fair, you shouldn't spread hate, but do not.
I just feel like your friend group and mine, we do completely different things now. We do completely different things. And obviously I can't speak for anyone else. I feel like we can very much, like, in this conversation, I've come to the realization that there is just I just don't understand why you think the things you do, and I don't understand your justifications. And I don't agree with a lot of what you said. And I think that is honestly because we are different, and and this conversation has made me a little bit sad because I've almost realized that I feel there isn't a middle ground we can reach. To be totally honest, I think it's very fair to incentivize our communities to stop attacking each other. Yeah. Because it's not a fun experience to be on the internet, especially as someone who streams here every day. But however, it has made me sad that there isn't a middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of shit thrown. I wasn't expecting there to be really a middle ground. I think it's more just communication and also setting an example for hopefully future communication between creators, just because I think it is just like, it sucks without communication. But yeah, I do think it's, you know, I think it's a little sad, and I think that, you know, I think that we operate in different spaces, do different things, and
I think we can very easily just avoid each other, and our communities can avoid each other, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that our community should try their best to not, you know, get in each other's business. I think that there'd be a lot less like hostility and stuff, and just I feel like at the end of the day, we both want to make content, and we both want to, you know, do our own thing with our friend groups and whatever. But yeah, I guess I'll end it from my side with one final thing.
I'll probably leave from this now. Thanks for chatting. Yeah. Sorry that there wasn't.
Can I get one more sentence or one more little thing I want to say about you?
Go.
Tubbo, I think that you are extremely talented. I replied on Twitter to, you know, someone a while ago saying that whenever you know, there's someone was belittling you, saying that I, you know, made you, or, you know, whatever, and degrading that sentiment. I feel the exact same way about Tommy. Tommy would have never. He didn't need me in any way. Tommy did not need me. Tommy was an extremely talented, extremely amazing creator who made his way on his own and made the Dream SMP so much better than it ever could have been without him. And the same applies to you, Tubbo. I have a lot of respect for you. I have a lot of respect for the way you hold yourself and everything that you've done. And I appreciate you a lot for having this conversation with me. And I'd like to end on that note.
I appreciate you for being open to talk about it on stream, because I know it's hard and it's awkward. Yeah. But yeah. Well, thank you, man.
Thanks, Tubbo.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you for the 20 gifted. I'll turn the alerts back on. I must admit, I don't even know what to say, to be totally honest. Like, it was a lot. I probably got heated at points there where I could have done with not being heated. Yeah, I did the stream as like a way to honor my word of committing to the phone call that I said I would.
Tubbo, I think I need a drink.
I'll tell you what, he says he gets his point out inevitably. In his own words, he has a very interesting way of communicating where he uses so many words. It's like, it makes it so hard to talk back to him. Do you know what I mean, chat? Like, there were points... I know I was very quiet for this entire stream. It makes it very hard to talk back to him when I don't remember what he started off saying. Yeah. Yeah, but... No, yeah, like... I want to make it clear, I still don't like the things he's done. To be totally honest. And I don't support the things he's done. And I still am with my sentiment that there's that... And I got through to him eventually how him calling Tom's video dishonest, but when I call his video dishonest, it's not the same. Got through. I don't like much after that. My brain feels like much too. Guys, can I be totally honest real quick? Can I be totally honest real quick? What's the song I want from this? What song do I want for this? Guys, there is 53,000 people here right now. It would be stupid of me to not ask if anyone has a Prime sub available. Please